Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday to you. It's Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. A fine Monday morning. Spirits very high in the room this morning. To be sure. Yesterday, notwithstanding, it was a great weekend. And, I think personally, professionally, all of it. We'll get into all of it. We've got 4 hours to explore the space with you, our beloved Tier 1 Army out there. You guys are unbelievable. And can't thank you enough for what you do. Little news you can use here. First thing off the bat, I'll introduce the show, though. I got Paulie Reindl, the executive producer. Good morning, Paulie.
Good morning.
I got Benjamin Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor. I think I've told this to you before, Benjamin. Today's Great Lakes Awareness Day. Do you remember it's an anagram, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember my anagram
I do.
so that you'll never, ever forget the Great Lakes again, ever?
Yes.
Paulie, do you remember my anagram?
I do not.
My dad taught this to me when I was 10 years old. One of those things that has stuck with me for 38 years. I've never, gun to my head, no problem. I got you. Do you remember what it was? Holmes. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior. Holmes. Boom. Great Lakes appreciated. Done. Checked it off the list today.
Hell yeah.
That's how we started on a Monday. Just news you can use. You'll never forget it.
I love news you can use.
And I love little tips like that that help me on things like that. You know, I don't know how many times, I've been held up at gunpoint. Like, you name the Great Lakes, or you're a dead man. Like, I got you, dude.
Okay.
It's Holmes. Homes. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, Superior. But weird how things like that your parents teach you, you forget mostly everything they teach you. But that has always stuck with me. So I saw that on the rundown, and I went, "Oh, all right. Well, I'm gonna clue our audience in too."
Isn't that weird how your memory works?
It's so weird.
Do you guys remember your home phone numbers growing
Oh
up?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
It's been 30 years.
Yep. I remember my very first.
Wow, I do.
I remember my first cell phone number. I remember all of that, but I don't remember what we had for dinner on Friday night. I didn't eat dinner on Friday night. I was working a Seals game.
I rember the address of the place I lived in
Yep.
when I
Same.
was 12.
Same. I remember the address of the place I lived in when I was 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy how it works.
619-436-6210.
Oh,
That
now
was-
someone's going to call it.
Well, so they can find. I mean,
206,
I'm so old
243,
that
1660.
we lived in Encinitas and had a 619 area code back in the day before they changed them all.
Because you lived in the country out in
Yeah, we lived out in Levitt and
right.
deep in the country.
Deep
The boondocks.
in the boondocks of San Diego. Next Gen Break says that's very stupid, Woods. What is? Trying to help you so that if you're ever held up at gunpoint, you don't die? Listen, Next Gen Breaks, if you don't remember that, some bad things can happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
What if you find yourself on Final Jeopardy one day?
100%.
And it's a Great Lakes category. You're going to be very glad that Woods gave you the mnemonic device.
I can't even help people without people being mad at me. That's literally one of the most helpful tips I have in my what do you call it? A quiver? Of my quiver of arrows. It's one of the most helpful tips I have, and I can't even do that without catching some heat from Next Gen Breaks. Anyway, hope you guys had a great weekend. It was a little nutty. I'll say that. AJ Preller just crushed me on Friday. Not crushed me. He made me very happy on Friday. But that trade came down.
Good morning, guys.
Morning. That trade came down to grab Luis Arráez as the lights went out at Pechanga Arena, San Diego. The Sirens dancers were coming out for the Seals game. My phone went just text after text after text. Our big boss was texting me, Michael. Adam texting me asking us if we wanted to come in and do a show.
6:32 p.m.
Bro, the lights were going out in Pechanga. We were getting ready for the game presentation, and I'm looking, and I'm going, oh, my God. And I'm trying to focus on this huge playoff
You're like,
game.
you know what? I got to go, guys.
Seriously. I'm
Adam needs me to call into the pregame show.
I'm sitting there going, this is insane. This is insane. This guy is a madman. A madman. And so, of course, you see that the trades come through. You don't know who's going.
It's that
immediate gut droppage.
Why does that happen every trade with the Padres?
I
It's
know.
always, we know who we're getting, and then we got to wait 15, 20 minutes to find out, well, who's going?
And so the Seals game starts, and it was a train wreck. It was probably the worst job we did as a collective all season long, and we lost that game, and then we lost yesterday. So the season's over, which I'm completely bummed about. It's such a weird feeling, Ben. You can probably attest to this. Like, I love that team so much. I give everything I have every time I have the microphone in my hand there. I scream, I yell, I bang on the glass. I leave those games, I'm drenched in sweat, and I'm like, I feel like I got hit by a car. The next morning, I can't sleep at night. I'm so fired up. Now that it's over, I'm like, all right, we'll get them next year. Because I was staring down the barrel of having to go back there this Friday. Hannah this morning goes, does it feel nice not having a game on Friday? I go, it does. It does. As sad as I am, as bummed as I am for the guys, I looked at the other teams in it and I go, we were going to be a little short. And we were.
You're just glad that the stress,
yeah,
that a lot of which you can't control,
correct,
is going to be over. Would you be even happier, though, if they had won and they did have a game? You would be. You'd be even happier if they won and you had a game.
If they had won yesterday in Albany and handled business, I would have bitched and moaned. This is what I always do. Like, Fridays come around and I look at Hannah, I go, I don't want to go tonight. I'm so tired. She goes, and then the minute I walk into Pechanga, it's like, no, I'm so excited to be there. And I'm way into the moment. And I get way into the games, and I love it. But it's the drive down. It's the foreboding all week long, knowing I've got a game to go and call. But the season's over. I was pretty bummed. And, to be one of the last teams standing is a big deal. Certainly, they played really well all year long. Friday night was one of the worst games you've ever seen, officiating-wise. We did a terrible job as game presenters. It was kind of an S show, and just never had the vibe that night. But season's over, and we'll get them next year. A lot to look forward to with this team, and don't think they're going anywhere. Happy to be here, and they play really hard, so I love them. My shout-out to all the Seals and all the fans that came out this year. You guys were incredible. Really turned that place into a pretty insane venue for those games. But we got bigger news to talk about today here on Ben and Woods, certainly, and that trade was really, really something else for Luis Arráez, and I'm looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was a surprise, but it wasn't an absolute shock. We actually even discussed it on the roundtable on Thursday, just kind of reminding everybody that this had been hanging in the air. And I think most baseball experts assumed, well, no big trades happen in May because it's too early in the season. No one throws in the towel in May, so you're not going to trade a key player, but the Marlins, to their credit, were already aware that their season was over in May, and why not get a head start on the inevitable rebuild that they've got coming up? And I think they also realized that Luis Arráez, a really good player, and I think a really good addition for the San Diego Padres, also wasn't going to be a difference maker for them in any way, shape, or form, other than giving fans a guy that they could follow to watch for a batting title. Not going to put a team on his shoulders and carry them to victory. And by the way, that was also true for the San Diego Padres. Well, this is a good addition. He's not the kind of player that you can just ride. He's got a hot streak. We're good to go. Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado are those kind of players. Luis Arráez is not. He's a really, really good complementary player if you've already got a good team. And hopefully the Padres have a good enough team that they can take advantage of what Luis Arráez does well, and that is hit a lot of singles and a few doubles, and is good at setting the table, is great at making contact, better than anybody in baseball right now at putting the bat on the ball. And sometimes when you put the bat on the ball, good things happen. A lot of times for him, good things tend to happen. But not the kind of player that you go, he's on a hot streak, we're going to win 12 of the next 14 games. No, you need other players to still come through. It doesn't really change, in my mind, what has to happen for this Padres team to be successful, and that is stars got to play like stars at some point if they want to have a chance to go to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean, you could see what he brought to the table in his debut. It was astounding. And when you watch where we were talking about at the dugout yesterday at the Tier 1 baseball game, and if you're a pitcher and that's the leadoff hitter, it changes the entire complexion of your attack plan. It just does, because you say to yourself, can't go up, he'll go the other way. Can't go in, he will pull it down the line for a double. Can't go middle, he can certainly handle that. Can't go low and in, he'll whip those hands through. He hit every different pitch they threw, all in different locations on Friday night. And
incredible.
It completely changes the complexion of your attack plan.
He's
when
not
you're
a guy
a
that
pitcher.
you brought in that's going to come in and hit 30 bombs,
No.
but he is the ultimate table setter at the top of your lineup.
And
because if Manny and Fernando don't play like stars, if the stars don't play like stars, we're not going anywhere. So
correct.
it doesn't really matter.
So it doesn't matter. But to have a guy on, seemingly every AB, at least half the time, at least half the time that guy's going to be on base. That is inherently a really, really good thing for the San Diego Padres. You put him on the White Sox, like you said, they're not going to go on some miraculous run. You put him on the Marlins, and they weren't really going to go anywhere with him.
Well, and don't forget, one major detail of this trade was I would have been stoked if they got him even at full price.
Right.
But to get him for pennies on the dollar, I mean, you are paying him the league minimum.
$600,000.
You somehow got the Marlins to pay almost his entire salary. That's a steal.
Yeah,
which is looking even more important this morning, that the Padres have a little bit of financial flexibility remaining this season in case they still need to add pitching at some point. And with Joe Musgrove going on the injured list, hopefully it'll be like Yu Darvish in just a couple of weeks. They did say it's mostly precautionary and they're not overly worried. He could have gone if it was a playoff game. They felt like he probably could have pushed himself forward, but why do that early in the season?
So I saw triceps tendonitis, and then I saw
elbow inflammation.
Okay.
They talked about both. Mike Schild after the game, and we can play that sound a little bit later. Discussed it in a little more detail and said had a decent throwing session. If we had to throw him on Tuesday, we probably could, but let's go the precautionary route. Be careful at this stage of the season. It does feel, especially with Matt Waldron struggling, we'll have our Padres wrap-up coming up, Padres probably need one more pitcher at some point, and now they still have somewhere between, I think, $10 and $12 million before hitting that first luxury tax level that they want to stay under, that they could spend, and that means if you wait until July, half the season's over, you could get a $20 million pitcher because you're only paying them $10 million and still stay under the luxury tax. So you will have available to you, if there are pitchers available in trade, to acquire someone who could be pretty good at that point in the season. And it looks like the Padres do need to keep at least some money available to add pitching at some point. I thought the price for Arráez, when the first reports came out, and it was Arráez for Dylan Head, Nathan Martorella, and Usak Go.
Oh, I thought it was.
I was going, that's incredible. That is. What are the Marlins doing? And then a couple minutes later, Jacob Marcy was added to the deal. Okay, Arizona Fall League MVP, stock on the rise. He's off to a slow start this year, and I got, okay, that seems a little more reasonable for a deal like that. But then found out what, like Paul said, about them picking up all the cash essentially on Arraez's deal this year, plus the money that the Padres, unfortunately gave to Usak Go. They got out from under that, and I go, I still like this deal. It's depth in the Padres organization, but it's not the top prospects that A.J. Preller wanted to hold on to, and they're getting someone that they absolutely do need, another bat that can either be a designated hitter or get some of the regulars off their feet when he goes and plays the infield like he did yesterday. All around, a good move by A.J. Preller and the San Diego Padres. Again, not one that's going to put them over the top as World Series champions. They'll need their players that are already on the team to lift them to that, but definitely something that's going to help the rest of the season.
But you look at the roster, or the lineups that went out on Saturday and Sunday, and you go, that team can compete.
Yeah, 100%.
And I am a man of my word. And I remember saying 6 weeks ago when Preller went out and got Dylan Cease, I go, man, I didn't think this team was a Dylan Cease away from being contenders. And all of a sudden, I'm all in, but I'm greedy. I want another bat.
Yep.
We went out and got one of the bats in baseball. So I'm all in again. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was, I think it was a very savvy move. And, when we were at fantasy camp and we were at spring training, I talked to a lot of the guys that worked with Marcy and Martorella and all those guys. And they all said to a man, and I said it on the air, these guys are dogs, straight up. Which, hey, listen, it may suck to lose them down the road. It's not going to suck to lose them right now. Neither of those guys were ready for the big leagues this year.
Not Manny Machado's prime, and Joe Musgrove's going to get older, and Darvish is going to get older,
and even I said
Bogart's going to get older.
I said it last week in the roundtable too, Benny. You always kind of have to be in buy mode since you've committed to Manny, and since you've committed to Xander, and since you've committed to Toddy, and since you've committed to Cronenworth, and since you've committed to Darvish, and since you've committed to Joe Musgrove, you are in buy mode. And this move, I think, will fortify the lineup certainly, lengthen the lineup certainly, and allow them to hang around, which is all we really want to do. And we've been saying that like a mantra. Just hang around. And I think that this really helps them do that. I think it helps them hang around.
If you've got some thoughts on the trade, you can join us on our YouTube stream. The chat is live. We've got it right in front of us. You can also tweet us, X us at Ben and Woods, and you can give us a call, 833-288-0973. When we come back, we will set the menu for the rest of the Monday program and start talking about what happened over the weekend as well with your San Diego Padres. Good Monday morning. All of us together. Should be a good week here. It's Ben and Woods. Let's check traffic with Kelly and Off and Running on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Is A.J. Preller in full save his job mode right now? We'll discuss. Welcome back. It's Ben and Woods on a Monday morning on 97.3 The Fan. First, though, I'm not a big Majesty of Dawn guy. It just means you've gotten up way too early and
Is that an adult film?
Should be sleeping. No, the Majesty of Dawn, waking up early, seeing the sunrise sort of thing. This morning, wow. The sunrise. Did you see it?
No, I was here at like 4:30.
Very little tiny bit of it.
Looking out to the east, there was, I had never seen this, just a crescent of a moon that was coming up just before the sun in the orange sky in the east, looking out over the hills of like Mission Trails as we're heading the 52 east. One of the best San Diego sunrises I have seen in a very long time. But still, I'd rather be sleeping in. So not a huge Majesty of Dawn, but it was nice this morning. And if Tier 1s were up early, you know what I'm talking about. It was a good one. I asked the question because while we all seem to agree that acquiring Luis Arráez and the price that was paid was certainly reasonable, good deal for the San Diego Padres, it's also a A.J. Preller saving his butt sort of move, isn't it? Yeah, you can make that argument. They weren't the first few years,
plenty of times.
The first few years of his GMing, it was build the farm system, don't need to win now. At this point,
yeah, you got to win. You got to win, man.
He is
straight up.
He is showing that you've got to win. He knows that there's a chance that if the Padres don't succeed this year, he may not get another opportunity to work his magic and do his draft thing and his international signing things. All the skills that AJ seems to bring to the table. He won't get any more chances unless the big league team actually has some success, because ultimately that's what he's doing it all for. You can be the greatest talent evaluator in history. You can look and say, that guy's going to be good, that guy's going to be good. You can sign him internationally, you can draft him. But if you can't turn them into a winning big league ball club, you're not a very good general manager in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, correct.
Ultimately, that's why you're doing it all. So AJ needs to win. I feel like he needs to know it, and this move was definitely made trying to turn this team on a, more of a shoestring budget compared to last year into a team that he thinks can, make a run into a playoff spot and hopefully make an October run.
I certainly what to me that would look like, though, I'm going balls to the wall here. If I'm AJ Preller, is okay. Salas is on the block. Okay. Leo DeBreeze is on the block. Okay. Snelling and Lesko and Mazur and Berger. All these guys are on the block because I got to save my ass. Who can I get? Maybe I can go out and get a Seth Lugo for Ethan Salas. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I saw the reports coming in from very well-respected people around, honestly, for me, when I saw he got rid of Woodsy Go, admitting fully, I made a mistake. We told you guys. We told you guys on the roundtable before. We told you before Woodsy Go, it was not a fit. It just wasn't a fit. We talked to people at spring training. They're like, the nice way to say it is he lacks confidence. Getting rid of that, being able to flip him, along with some guys that were good in the Arizona Fall League, for a couple of months and are doing okay right now in the minors that may hit in 5 years. I just think this was one of his savvier moves. Plus getting them to pay the salary of Luis Arráez this year. This is about as savvy a move as you can make. I won't miss Woodsy Go. I promise you, neither will you. You probably won't miss Mortarella. You might miss Dylan Head, but I doubt it very much. Honestly, I looked at this and go, this one doesn't sting really even in the slightest. And the fact that they are paying his salary, leaving you more flexibility to make moves. I'm like, Peter Bendix, thank you, my friend.
I do think you
just got Preller.
There are some handcuffs on A.J. Preller.
No question.
He cannot go over that luxury tax level.
Correct.
So any move that he makes, you could try to acquire all the great players in the world. And, hey, Ethan Salas and Lesko and Snelling, they're all on the table.
Still got to pay.
You still are going to have to pay. Unless you can get everybody to pay the salaries of the guy you're acquiring. That's pretty rare. He got it this time. There are some handcuffs on A.J. Preller, and that is, that's a reasonable thing for the Padres as a franchise to probably demand for the ownership, Eric Katsenda, to say, we've gone over the last couple of years. We're not a team that can pay triple penalties in the luxury tax market. So we've got to reset this year. Do what you want. other than that, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to trade an Ethan Salas when you can only add a player now at this point that's worth a couple of $1 million.
And I think if you work in the game of baseball, whether it is, unless you're an owner and you work in the game of baseball, and I'm talking players, I'm talking coaches, I'm talking GMs, assistant GMs, I'm talking up and down the line. Every move you make is to save your ass. That's the whole point of the game. You do what you have to do.
You're not making moves to jeopardize your status.
That's exactly right, man. You're not going to find a guy that's more willing to keep things exciting than AJ Preller. Are they all the right moves? No, absolutely not. He's made some bonehead trades over the years. He knows that. There is never a shortage, though. And the other thing, too, I thought about Arráez, and I thought, I saw somebody tweet like, oh, great, another mercenary. And I go, no, I don't feel that way about Luis Arráez. You saw how he got here, and the reviews I got from somebody that we know and respect and knows Luis Arráez really well.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Said, you're going to die when you see what kind of human being he is. And you saw it. The day he got there, it was like he's been here for 5 years. The makeup of him is such a better fit than like a Juan Soto at the time. I love Soto. Everybody knows that. Or a Brandon Drury or an Adam Frazier or anybody else. He walked in, he put on a Padres uniform. He looked like a Padre. Yep. And they all treated him like a Padre immediately. He fit right in here.
Did you see all the guys at the edge of the dugout?
It was incredible.
Steps just looking, going.
Yeah. It was incredible.
Oh, look at that. They're so excited to have this guy on their team. You could feel that over the weekend.
It was such a good move to make this team better. And to get those immediate dividends, that's got to feel good for AJ. Because I'll tell you, if we were in that position and you make a move like that, and the guy comes out and hits an 0 for 4 clunker, you're like, God dang it, here we go again. But to come in and make a splash like he did was awesome. And just watching him hit is a thing of beauty. It really, really is. And he looked so thrilled to be here. And that speaks volumes to me because we haven't really seen that. We have not seen that from a lot of these acquisitions. So it's an A-plus move across the board. Argue with a wall at this point. Like, it was an A-plus move.
We have a lot of Padres talk coming up on the program today, including our weekly visit with In-Season Sammy. Padres pre- and post-game show host Sam Levitt will be with us at 8:35. Regular features, Take on Woods and Don't Do This in our 7 o'clock hour. But let's get right into the weekend. We'll start with our Padres wrap-up from yesterday, although Friday and Saturday's games were a lot more fun than yesterday's game. I did think there was some interesting discussion from Mike Shilto after the game yesterday about he called it his Sparky Anderson philosophy. And we'll talk about Matt Waldron's struggles and the pitching rotation as well. That is coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All my social media channels are filled with the Tom Brady Netflix roast from last night.
Mine is rap beefs.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of rap beef chat this weekend. A lot of Tom Brady roasting. And then a lot of Dodger fans telling me Tony Gwynn actually wasn't that good, which was a fun debate.
Interesting take.
This weekend. Yeah, they're super smart and knowledgeable baseball fans. He wasn't that good. He's overrated.
I don't know what the big deal. Tom Brady was roasted for, what, a couple hours
like
last
3
night?
hours.
3 hours. I get roasted for 20 hours a week.
That's true.
The constant
Not
Ben
like that, you
Higgins
don't.
roast.
Now, yes, I will say, we may pick apart things because it's never from a place of meanness. It's always a place of, you're an interesting guy in that you used to drive random people in your neighborhood to school that you didn't know. That's fascinating to me. That you were on, like, math teams.
That's not us roasting
That's
you.
not roasting. That's me going, lay down on the couch and tell me how you felt when your mom's like, you have 6 pickups today, Ben. Who are these people? Should I take the minivan? Okay. That to me is more riveting than any Padres baseball talk that I could ever dream of having. You are the most fascinating human alive. And the best part is you don't think you are. What did I tell you once? I told Ben, and this changed our show. I said, don't try to be funny. You tell me the most mundane thing you did the day before, I'll find something in it. And he's like, all right,
The
fine.
most boring part of your day. What was it?
What was the most mundane, everyday thing you did yesterday? And he'll be like, I went home and scrubbed the shower. And I'm
I
like,
did.
why didn't you scrub the shower?
I scrubbed the shower with a toothbrush, a soft scrub. You know, I like the smell.
You like
of
the
soft
yeah,
scrub.
smell
So
soft scrub.
got the soft scrub out. Went to work on the grout this weekend, just to make sure the shower was nice and clean.
You are incredible.
I believe Paulie has pulled some of the audio from the Tom Brady roast.
I watched almost all of it. It was long as hell. It was like damn
like
near 3
3
hours.
hours, man.
And it started at
much.
5.
It's
It
too much.
was a live event on Netflix. And about 5:15, 5:30, we were done with dinner. I was like, let's throw it on. And it ended up being a pretty funny evening at home watching the roast. Everybody was really good. People you weren't expecting were amazing.
Yeah, Bill Belichick was hysterical.
Belichick was there.
he's
I thought the
hysterical.
jokes about Bill Belichick
Those were great, too.
also fairly funny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were great, too.
So, Paulie, you're pulling some of the best stuff. We'll get to it a
Got
little
a few
bit later
clips.
in the program today. Want to get to our Padres wrap-up, though. It was an 11-4 loss yesterday, but some questions about the pitching rotation going forward. Get to that after a check of traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by the Fish Market, serving the freshest catches from waters near, far, and everywhere in between. Well, it continues to be a pretty quiet one around the county. We're not showing any trouble spots, no incidents or accidents getting in your way. Before, after the game, or when they're on the road, join the Fish Market's downtown location for happy hour every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. Enjoy $2 shuck oysters, appetizer specials, $8 margaritas, and more. The Fish Market's downtown happy hour, Monday through Friday from 3 to 6. I'm Kelly Danick with
From Ryan Nelson, and the deficit is cut in half. 4-2 Arizona in the second. On the homestand, swings here, lines it over Suarez. Down the left field line, that's rocketing all the way into the corner. Kim is on his horse, he's rounding third. He is on his way, there will not be a relay. And Kyle Higashioka, an RBI double. This is a one-run game. 1-1, here's the pitch. And Walker sends it in the air to deep right center field. Long run, Jackson Merrill into the gap, can't get there. It'll one-hop up against the wall. McCarthy scores easily. Walker into second base, an RBI double. And now 6-3 Arizona. McCarthy at third, 2 down. Here's the 2-2. Walker chops it sharply to third. Knocked down by Manny. Picks it up, not going to have a play. McCarthy will come in and score. An infield single for Christian Walker. And the Arizona lead is now.
Then started the fourth and had to make a decision to get him out of there. But answered back twice, punched right back, stayed in it, but just, couldn't hold him.
Sucked.
Mike Schilt talking about Matt Waldron's performance. And I think if you're a fan, I mean, I am not immune to it. You watch Matt Waldron struggle early, and you go, he doesn't have it today.
Doesn't happen.
The knuckleballer, it's just the knuckleball isn't working. It's either fluttering way out of the zone, usually a pass ball by Higashioka, or it's just sitting there in the middle of the zone to be hit. And if he can't get that in, the rest of his stuff's not really good enough to be, a quality major league pitcher. Why did you leave him out there into the fourth inning to give up 8 runs and really take away any chance you had to win the game?
Nobody likes this answer. Nobody likes
It's a tough one.
This answer.
I don't even know that.
It's hard to explain, and it's really hard to make people understand it.
It is, because even the manager, I think, bristles a little bit at the reality of the situation. Mike Shildt is a competitive guy. We saw this with him, saw it with Bob Melvin before him. When you are chasing a big deficit by going to your bullpen early, and he brought up the name of Sparky Anderson. He said, the former legendary Detroit Tigers manager. And he said, I read Sparky Anderson's book, and one thing that he recommended as a manager is you cannot constantly chase big deficits early. If you're going to your bullpen because you see in the second inning, my guy doesn't have it, maybe you'll give yourself a 5% better chance to win the game that day, but you're probably hurting your chances to win the next 2 to 3 games by doing that, by torching your bullpen, asking for too many innings out of your bullpen arms. And he says that's the calculus you have to do as a manager sometimes.
So hard.
Sometimes you just have to hope that your starter figures it out, something locks in, and they can give you another 2 or 3 innings and hopefully keep you into the game where your offense can come back and win it. But sometimes that's not going to happen. Sometimes the starter's going to continue to struggle, and you're going to play your way out of a game like they did yesterday, and there's not much you can do about it as a big league skipper.
Well, I think, from a fan perspective, too, I'm a fan. We got down 4-0, and I'm like, all right, well, listen, time to wear it. That's exactly how I felt. Just, all right, get out there and wear it. Give me 5 innings, man. We won the series. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. You look at what you've done the last couple of games. Well, we won this series. Yeah, we want this sweep. But like you said, chasing it. But the Padres battled right back. They fought back. And that's when it gets a little bit dicey of going, okay, well, we're right back in this thing. Do I now pull Waldron after 1 2/3 and hope we make a comeback? I think you can go either way. Really? Like you absolutely could have gone to the pen there. But you had just gotten the news, too, about Joe Musgrove coming down. He's going on the IL. You're going in to take on Chicago. You've won this series. Nobody wants to, no team will ever hear a manager say, all right, guys, we're punting this one, right? It's something that's like inherent. It's happening. It's happening. These guys have played enough baseball to know, all right, let's get our ABs. Let's put in work. Let's not give anything away. Let's try to make plays and do everything else. But, hey, and if something weird happens, great.
When the 5th guy in your rotation gives up 4 first-run innings, and you can tell he just doesn't have it, you can't let that game that already may have gotten away from you, you can't let the next series get away from you because you've burned your entire bullpen.
Yeah, and again, with Joe going on the IL too, you're not going to have him.
Have to make up some innings.
You're going to have to make up some innings. I can understand both points. I really can. I can understand both sides. This was the decision that he made. Now, the decision to run Matt Waldron out there again against the Dodgers is certainly going to be another decision that needs to be made. I think they said they're 1-7 in his starts. He's had some decent starts. He's had some starts where, like you said earlier, Ben, if you get him a few runs, no problem. Probably gets those wins. He's also had some miserable clunkers. I defended him last week because he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings, and we had 1 hit. That's you take 6 innings, 4 runs from your number 5 starter almost every time. Every single number 5 starter's got an ERA 4 and above. You wear that, right? Do we have a better option? If we do, I say we employ it against the Dodgers.
As Michael G. said, though, he held the Dodgers to 1 run when he faced them the last time.
That's the tough part.
And with Randy Vasquez now up and presumably going to pitch on Tuesday, tomorrow, instead of Joe Musgrove, doesn't give you a ton of options. You go with a bullpen day, hold Johnny Brito back. Brito wasn't terrific yesterday, although he's been better lately. I think he's kind of earned a chance to maybe start some games. This may not be the week that you can make that move. Or you can try to call up one of your younger guys. Mazer, who's been pitching well. Snelling hasn't been quite as sharp lately, but he's an option down there. Burgert, I think, is another one of your top prospects. Are you ready to call up some of the young arms and is giving them a start against the Dodgers, at home over the weekend? Is that the best landing spot for a rookie in their major league debut? I don't know. That's why A.J. Preller and Mike Shildt, they make the big bucks to make these decisions. Did not work out yesterday for the San Diego Padres, though, as they lose 11-4. And while the offense did get those 3 runs and didn't get anything after that, I will say they did get 12 hits. Everybody in the lineup got at least 1 hit for the second straight day. There is a lot of positive signs about the San Diego Padres offense at the moment. There are still some concerns. Xander Bogaerts, he's got a 6-game hitting streak, but I think he's still hitting about 240 during his 6-game hitting streak, and it's not with a ton of power or anything. You still wonder when he's going to get it going, if he's going to get it going. Tatis had the home run over the weekend, but had some swings and misses again yesterday. Manny's starting to heat up a little bit. There are some positive signs for the San Diego Padres offense at the moment. Jackson Merrill is a road warrior.
Guy loves hitting on the road.
Heard the home run, another 2 for 4 yesterday. He is, I believe, leading Major League Baseball in batting average on the road. At Petco Park, he's been actually pretty miserable, but what else is new? Someone that can hit on the road, but not at Petco Park. We've seen players like that throughout San Diego Padres history over the last 20 years, so nothing new for him. He'll figure it out. He'll get it going at Petco at some point, but take him away from Petco Park, and he has been one of the better hitters in all of baseball so far, and added his 2nd home run of his career yesterday. Unfortunately, like I said, they couldn't add on, and there was just too big of a deficit to come back from early in the game.
And you hate to be in that headspace, right? Of all right, well. We don't have a ton of other options with Joe going down, the Vasquez coming back up, and Burrito available, long relief, whatever. Maybe you employ an opener. I don't know what you do. You have to manage these games against the Cubs pretty intensely because they're a really good team as well. And then you got the Dodgers coming in. You're not going to go, we've talked about it. The mentality around the San Diego Padres against the LA Dodgers this year is they're just another team. It's nice to win games, but you're not going to rejigger your entire strategy to play them again. Those days, I think, are gone. It's just you don't want this week to get away from you. You got some really, really tough challenges this week. You just don't want it to get away from you.
I think you don't even want to know how scary the challenges are this week.
Oh, it's gnarly.
The Cubs will be starting 3 pitchers, starting with Justin Steele tonight.
Oh, Steele's tonight?
Steele's actually, they changed it around. So Steele is today.
He's nasty.
He's got a 1.93 ERA and was probably the biggest contender
for Cy
against
Young.
Blake Snell for the Cy Young last year. He'll be the worst pitcher they're throwing in this series.
Very cool.
Tomorrow will be Shota Imanaga and his 0.78 ERA. And then, just in case you wondered, on Wednesday it's Hayden Wesnecki. He's got a 0.54 ERA this season. The Cubs starting pitchers have not given up a run in almost a week, and they are throwing the ball incredibly well. And you've got a big challenge in front of you the next 3 days. And then when that's over, you come back and face a red-hot Dodgers team that has won 11 of their past 13 games. Shohei Ohtani is on fire, had 2 more home runs yesterday. This is a tough week for the San Diego Padres. I know we've said that a few times already this year.
Yeah.
Might be the toughest week they've faced yet in the 2024 baseball season. So they better come to play. I'm glad they've got another weapon in Luis Arráez to help maybe poke across a run or two somewhere in the lineup over these next 6 games, because they are facing a gauntlet this week.
And is now the time for Adrian Morejon to get a start? Because we were talking about it yesterday. He continues to look pretty nasty when he's in there. They're using him in 11-1 games, though. You know what I'm saying? And I think they're just maybe trying to build up a little trust. I mean, you don't want to say, well, what's the worst that could happen? Because we've kind of seen the worst that can happen at times. But, at this point, Benny, they're going to have to find an arm somewhere. Now, I saw a lot over the weekend. Oh, man, it's a nice trade for Arráez, but you got to trade for a pitcher, too. There's maybe a handful of teams willing to move a starting pitcher right now. And that prospect cachet going back is going to be pretty giant.
The Marlins are probably one of them, and their asking price on pitching would be so high. Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why there wasn't a pitcher thrown in the deal.
Correct.
It's probably too high for the Padres right now. All right, we'll come back. Would you agree with me? Saturday, though, maybe one of the best days for Padres fans since they beat the Dodgers in the 2022 playoffs. It was awesome. We'll talk about it next on 97.3 Fan. Saturday was a spectacular day. There's no doubt about it. Padres debut of Luis Arráez in the lineup, and you just couldn't have asked for anything more. 4 hits in his first 4 at-bats, and the Padres go on to a 13-1 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. What a great first impression, not only for Arráez, but for Padres fans to get to see Arráez for the first time and get that full gamut of what he's able to do, starting with the double down the right field line. Do we have all the calls? This is great.
Listen to the double. You can hear Jesse's voice. He's like laughing. He's like, well, what more could you ask for?
Here's the 1-0 from Fott, and Arráez rips it down the right field line. A base hit headed towards the corner. McCarthy over to dig it out. It's going to be extra bases, and Arráez standing at second with a double. The second pitch he sees in his Padre debut.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Rips
a double.
I thought his third hit, the one where he just stuck his wrists out and flicked it over the third baseman's head, though. That's the one that reminded me the most of Tony Gwynn and his ability to do that against top pitching. And a lot of comparisons were made with Tony Gwynn. It's unfair to both Arráez and Tony Gwynn to make those comparisons, but I think it's accurate what Fernando Tatis Jr. said. He is the most Tony Gwynn-like player in baseball today. It doesn't mean he is Tony Gwynn, and it doesn't mean he's ever going to put up the kind of historic numbers that Tony Gwynn did or make it to the Hall of Fame, but he's got 2 batting titles. He's the only guy, in major modern-day baseball that really consistently hits over 300 nowadays, which is so rare to see. So, yes, he is the modern-day Tony Gwynn. Now, modern-day baseball is not Tony Gwynn-style baseball anymore, but he clearly is the guy who does it the most like Tony Gwynn did it during his career. I think Gwynn had obviously some, I think defensively, Tony Gwynn was a much better player, especially as his career went on. Base running, just all around, he was a Hall of Fame player. We saw Luis Arráez when he played yesterday. There were a couple of balls that they weren't errors, but I think they're balls that Xander Bogaerts probably gets when he's out there. And if Ha-Seong Kim was out there at second, plays that he makes fairly easily that Luis Arráez simply doesn't do. He's not much of a threat on the base paths to steal. So he's not Tony Gwynn, but he is the most Tony Gwynn-like player that's out there, and his skill bat to ball is something to behold. It is precious, it is rare, and it is very exciting to watch as a fan.
That is just what a debut, number one. What a first impression. So I texted our pal, Skip Schumacher, his now former manager, and he was legitimately bummed. And he said, you guys got one of my favorite players I've ever been around. Love that kid. He can play first, DH, second, left. It's going to give guys days off. It will also really lengthen your lineup. This guy is Tommy Pham work ethic, winner, gamer. He hit 350 in 180 games here. It's pretty bananas that he was available. Torey Lovullo, after the game, actually said, I was surprised he was available. Like and I know it's been something that's been in the works for quite a while. AJ's had his eye on him. And Peter Bendix, I think, in my opinion, probably got a little bit spooked. He probably did, knowing the Marlins aren't going anywhere. And you run the risk of not getting a package like that back, a package that his analysts considered a great deal, had to jump at it, a package that, by all accounts, and not just homers like us, people around baseball that I really trust their opinions, they went, oh, yeah, this is a really good deal for the Padres. Then you throw in the money on top of it, A+. As I said, A+ grade here.
One thing that A.J. Preller does deserve credit for is that, unlike many other people in baseball, including his fellow general managers, he's not bound by what is usually done. He is always willing to explore the unconventional, the trade that other teams aren't even thinking about right now. Well, you can't trade for a superstar in May. That's just not how it's done.
We don't do it
AJ
like that.
Just says, why not? Why not? Let's try and make it possible. I always wonder, what are all the moves he has made, what are the hundreds that he didn't make that we never heard about? That he was
Ramirez,
going down
Francisco Lindor,
the road on.
Yeah.
I mean, he is always willing to explore the different ways to make the team better.
And look, man, and
does he succeed every time? No.
I saw the argument this weekend, and made by some of the usual suspects, and I don't know that they're necessarily wrong. The constantly bringing in superstar after superstar after superstar may not be the best way to build a team. That's how you want to build your fantasy team. That's exactly how I run my fantasy. I want to bring in all the best players I can, no matter the cost, no matter the trades, whatever I got to do. I want to bring in the best players. It's different. It's not. There's makeup involved. There is cohesion, chemistry. Does he actually fit in the lineup? Does he have a position to play?
We've seen it backfire before.
Am I going to have to move him to a different position, right? But a guy that can play 3 to 4 positions, albeit not at the top level defensively. I get you. I absolutely understand that. But to bring in a guy and the guy that wants to be here, same agency as Manny and Fernando. Did I read that right? He's they all share an agent. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That is, to me, like I said, A+. A+. I don't think Jacob Marcy's ever going to hit 30 bombs in the show. I don't think Mortarella's going to hit 30 bombs in the show. I don't think Woodsy Go maybe even sees the big leagues. Dylan Head, potentially. What is his ceiling? Great. We'll see in 5 years. But for now, when you have superstars on your roster that are day by day getting a little bit older, you got to go for it, and he's going for it. So
build up the farm system and trade back for Dylan Head in 4 years if you want him again.
The other thing is, and I don't know how many times he needs to do it for us to believe in it, he has zero problem restocking the farm. None. Not even a little bit. There's not even a down year. That's one thing you can say about A.J. Preller. The ability he has to replenish and restock the farm is unparalleled. Okay, so while you might not agree with every single move, there's guys I look around the big leagues and go, man, God, he would have been so great here had we given him a shot, had we developed him properly. There's one on every team seemingly, But at the end of the day, what do you hear about? You hear about Leo DeBreeze, you hear about Ethan Salas, you hear about Snelling and Lasko and all these guys. These guys, we didn't know these guys a couple years ago. He has no problem doing that. That's one of his greatest strengths.
While Arráez got most of the attention on Saturday, there is one other player I do want to praise. First, though, we need a contestant for Take on Woods. 833-288-0973, head-to-head versus Woods, our musical trivia challenge coming up in about 3 minutes. So call now, get online, 833-288-0973. We have a unique prize just for this week for Take on Woods contestants.
It's like instant gratification now. That's
very
good.
Instant gratification. 833-288-0973. Arráez deservedly got the lion's share of the attention on Saturday. I want to give a little bit of praise to Jurickson Profar, who came and was done everything that he's been asked. Signed for $1 million, probably going to be a part-time player. We need you every day. Go out there, play well every single day. You were the best offensive player the Padres have had over the first month of the season. They need you to hit leadoff. You move with a smile. You move to the leadoff spot and you produce there. Jurickson Profar had a 2-run home run on Saturday, but did say after the game that, honestly, I love hitting fifth. He said, I do love hitting fifth. Now, you would have never known that with how happily he moved to the leadoff spot when he changed. He didn't complain about it when they asked him to do it, but he said, I am so happy we have Arráez now because now I can drop back because I love hitting fifth in the order. And he went and he produced again.
Serves like a leadoff hitter in the 5-hole,
Yeah,
halfway through your lineup.
The guy doesn't miss a beat right now. He just doesn't miss a beat, and he always does it with a good, smiling, but healthy, competitive attitude. I mean, if you could put Jurickson Profar's personality into just about every baseball player, I think that would probably be a positive for just about everyone.
An elite team. And you can't talk about Saturday, too, without talking about Michael King, who was outstanding.
Correct.
6 innings pitched, 6 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 Ks. Really, really
He doesn't
well
walk
done.
anybody. He doesn't give up a home run. He'll be a
really
phenomenal pitcher.
Yep.
Obviously, it's the walks and the home runs that have killed him when he's had the bad starts.
Manny, huge night, 3 RBI. Merrill back on track, couple of hits that night. Ha-Seong Kim drives in 4. That was about as good as you can draw it up.
Yeah, 3-run homer. I love Ha-Seong Kim in the 9 spot. Yeah, I know he struggled a little bit, but no one wants to face Ha-Seong Kim as a 9-hitter in Major League Baseball right now.
It's so stupid when you think about, we got all these guys. You add one guy to the lineup, and your lineup goes, poof, it just pops right there. So, yeah, that was it was a sight to see. Saturday night, one of the more enjoyable Padres games I've ever seen.
Friday night was also a pretty good night. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later this hour. Right now, though, we got some contestants on the line. Let's get to it. First game of the week. It is time for Take on Woods. All right, let's get Dan on the line. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Great. How are you guys?
I'm good. All right, you are the contestant today, and here is just for this week only. We've got the instant gratification prize, our Vegas grand prize contest. We're going to return next week. They're working on the details for a new one, but today and this week only, if you can beat or tie Woods, we're just going to give you a $25 gift card to Carl's Jr. The El Diablo Burger is back at Carl's Jr. for eternity with a potato bun, charbroiled beef, a spicy habanero sauce, bacon, jalapeno popper bites, pepper jack cheese, and jalapenos. Try it now. I mean, who doesn't like a little Carl's Jr. for lunch? Dan, are you ready to get going here?
Yes, we are. We're fingers crossed.
You're a little stunned by the prize. I know it. All right, here are your categories. We've got the all 2-second song category, song and dance from the 80s. Those are songs that feature the word dance in the title from the 1980s. And now we're adding a second song and dance category. This one, song since the year 2000, also with dance in the title. So you got those two, or you can go with the Tortured Poets Department, which is our Taylor Swift new album category, but you don't actually need to know that much about the album to get some questions right in that one. So, song and dance 80s, song and dance since 2000, or the Tortured Poets Department. Dan?
All right, so here's the deal. My daughter and I listen every day as we're driving to school.
Okay.
She's 11, and she heard there was a Taylor Swift category, and we said that we got to try.
All right, good luck. If she wants to help you out in the 60 seconds, you are more than welcome to do it. The category today is the Tortured Poets Department. Since Taylor Swift continues to be on the news, let's focus on her new album today and take on Woods. No 2-second song today. While every answer is the name to one of the 31 tracks she just released, as I said, you don't necessarily need to be a giant Swiftie to get these questions correct. Are you and your daughter ready, Dan?
I am. She's a little too nervous to be ready, but we're going to try.
That's all right. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when I start reading the first question. Good luck, Dan. Let's take on Woods. Featuring Post Malone, the first track on the album is which term that describes a 2-week period?
Fortnite.
Correct. Track 8, featuring Florence from Florence and the Machine, features which Sunshine State name followed by 3 exclamation points?
Florida.
Correct. Track 15 is named after which medieval pseudoscience concerned with the attempt to turn base metals into gold?
Alchemy.
Correct. Track 19 shares a name with which golf term that is a synonym for a double eagle?
Albatross.
Correct. The title of track 30 is which type of bird, or the first name of the actress who married Mike Tyson in 1988?
I don't know. You know it? The bird? Sparrow.
Oh, good guess. Good 4 out of 5, though. Very well. That was Robin. Robin Givens was the actress who Mike Tyson married. You got the other ones, though. Fortnite, Florida, the Alchemy, the Albatross, and Robin. So hold on, Dan. You got your score.
Be a good score.
You got your score locked in. We'll see. Woods is a smart guy. He doesn't know any of these songs, I would imagine, but he's a smart guy. We'll see. Dan's score is locked in. You can already taste the Carl's Jr. All right, no 2-second song today. No 2-second song today, and I do have to tell you because you wouldn't have any idea otherwise. This is about Taylor Swift here. All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when I begin reading the first question. Good luck, Woods. Let's take on Dan. Featuring Post Malone, the first track on our new album is which term that describes a 2-week period?
The Red Wave.
Incorrect. Track 8, featuring Florence from Florence and the Machine, features which Sunshine State name followed by 3 exclamation points?
Florida.
Correct. Track 15 is named after which medieval pseudoscience concerned with the attempt to turn base metals into gold?
Alchemy.
Correct. Track 19 shares a name with which golf term that is a synonym for a double eagle?
Albatross.
Correct. The track of title 30 is which type of bird, or the first name of the actress who married Mike Tyson in 1988?
Robin.
That is correct,
Well
and you
done.
got 4, which is a tie. But Dan and his daughter, congratulations. You have won the $25 Carl's Jr. gift certificate this week. Stay on the line. Great job by both of you. Paulie will get all your information during the break. So, yeah, that was That was a five questions that you didn't actually need to know the album titles in order to get it.
Yeah,
I thought
thank God.
Throw in a little bit of extra clues in there for
I
you.
was just gonna,
Fortnite was the one you didn't get.
I was going to guess just Dear John or Shake It Off for everyone. If
It's
I didn't
funny,
know.
though, Paulie, that when I asked him for a Sunshine State name,
He wanted to say
he
Colorado.
didn't say Colorado, that he said
Because he
Florida.
knows what the Florida State nickname is.
You dig yourself in holes on the radio sometimes. It's funny.
You weren't committed to the bit.
After my rant at the end of the show on Friday about bunting, I realized the Padres executed a successful sacrifice bunt this weekend. Fantastic.
Jackson Merrill laid one down.
Great. Don't do it again. I come up yesterday in a very close game, late in the game, runners on first and second. The first baseman, my buddy Britt's like, oh, is he going to bunt? And in my mind, I go, you probably should bunt.
Be a smart move.
No, I swung away. I got a single. So I suck it. How about that? I mean, but
Put your money where your mouth is.
That's it. Once you commit on the air to something, like you have to. I can't be the guy that hates bunting. Then gets up there, he goes, bink, and lays one down.
I mean, 4-4 tie and take on Woods today. It would have been, if you were so committed to the bid,
that it
you
would have lost. Yeah, if I would have said Colorado. So yeah, I had to just go against my word. Sorry.
All right, we'll come back. We got more Padres talk on the way. Don't Do This is next. Did you see what happened in the Cardinals-White Sox game over the weekend?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Like the biggest nightmare for fans, for players, for broadcasters, everyone possible in this game over the weekend. What a nightmare. Tell you about it next on Ben and Woods after traffic on 97.3 The Fan.
The worst thing ever.
The Dodgers are coming to town this Friday through Sunday. Let's turn out, support the Padres, create a true home field advantage. Limited tickets are available for all 3 Dodgers games at Padres.com/tickets. And to get us started today on Don't Do This, here is Stephen Woods.
Well, if you were a little Yankee fan going to Yankee Stadium to your first Yankee game and you got to see your hero, Aaron Judge, play, I'm really happy for you that you got in and got to see the work of Ryan Blakeney, because that's really what you paid for on Saturday when you went in to watch the Yankees play the Tigers, because Ryan Blakeney is the first and only Major League umpire to ever throw Aaron Judge out of a baseball game. After 869 games, the Yankee captain was ejected for the first time in his career in the 7th inning. On a pitch away, looked like it might have nicked the zone. 3-2 count, kind of grinding up there. Close game, though. And Judge looked at it, kind of, nodded his head, walked away, said something going away. I think he said, nah, that's BS. You've been BS all day. And as he was walking away, Blakeney rips the mask off and throws him out of the game. Judge, who's he's a classy dude. He goes, look, I got a lot of respect for Ryan and what he does. I know their job's tough. I've always had their back because it's tough back there. So for it to happen that way, that's what I'm most upset about, especially late in a game like that, close game, which is it's absurd, man. The thin skin is getting thinner by the day.
The irony here is that 1 week from today, May 13th, will be the 30-year anniversary of the last time a Yankee captain was ejected when Don Mattingly was tossed on May 13th, 1994.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, kids, I hope you got your money's worth, and you can tell your kids you got to see Ryan Blakeney umpire a game.
I had a little personal Don't Do This. My buddy Scott, who I played golf with last week, he's a lifelong Yankees fan. I just got a text over the weekend. I like Soto. He's been very, very good. I saw Phil Hughes, the former Yankees, and Padres pitcher tweeting, just back up the Brinks trunk. Give him anything he wants. Give him 24-hour security. You've got to pay him. You've got to keep him on the New York Yankees. They're loving the Juan Soto experience so far in New York. All right, I talked about this. I teased this one for Don't Do This. What happened in the Cardinals-White Sox game, I believe this was on Saturday, in a fairly driving rainstorm. The White Sox came back from a 2-run deficit against the Cardinals to force extra innings. But as they got to the 10th, it just started pouring and pouring. Tommy Pham, top of the 10th, drove in the go-ahead run. He's been really good, by the way,
really has,
offensively at least for the White Sox. They have him out in center field sometimes, which doesn't look all that great, but offensively he's been terrific. So it's a 6-5 game, bottom of the 10th inning. The St. Louis Cardinals are trying to score to either tie it or win it. They load the bases. They get to 2 outs. John Brebbia is on the mound. He struck out 2. He's trying to get out of it. The rain is just coming down so hard, though, that
it's so bad
that they can't even get the ball back to him without it getting wet. He has to actually physically carry the ball from the catcher to him to keep it from getting soaked so he can throw it. Gets the first strike, and then the umpires say, we got to call this. We got to go to a rain delay.
2 outs.
With the bases loaded, 2 outs in the 10th, an 0-1 count. They go to the rain delay. Brebbia's going, don't you dare end this thing. Well, they did. They waited out 3 hours before the rain cleared, and they could come back. Now, Brebbia couldn't come back because of it. They had to bring in a relief pitcher at that point. So then they restart the game at 7:30 p.m., 3 hours after the delay started.
There's no one. There's
no one left
one
in the
guy
stands.
in the stands.
In a very, thrilling ending. No one's left in the stands.
Who's waiting 3 hours? No one.
If they did, they waited 3 hours for 3 pitches. A ball, a strike, and then the last pitch of the game, umpire C.B. Buckner called a strike on a ball that was a foot outside.
Yep.
And that
Ball game.
is how the game ended after a 3-hour delay on a horrific strike call that the people who did wait 3 hours, the players, the broadcasters, the fans who just gutted it out to see what they hoped would be a dramatic ending for the Cardinals at home, got to see one horrible call for their 3 hours invested.
Don't you just
a nightmare.
Don't you just have to finish it? You just have, if you've committed and it is dumping rain. You have to finish it. Right?
Who was the team?
I don't know.
Don't they revert? Do they not revert anymore to the previous inning?
Well, it would have just
been
been tied, and they would have had to start over again in the 10th. I mean, they probably should have done that. But I mean, the White Sox had the run in. I mean, you can't once the run's in. I don't know that you revert anymore. I think that's an old rule that's been changed. Whatever it was a nightmare.
CB Buckner, man. Who was the team? I saw a clip last week of one of the broadcasters going, he's terrible. He's always been terrible. He knows it. Everybody in the league knows it. Yeah. They just roasted him last week.
He gets a nice little skate by because Angel Hernandez exists. So CB Buckner's like, I may be even worse than him. I may be worse.
All right, finally, Tom Brady, a little doo-doo this.
DD mega doo-doo.
A lot of you guys watched this. I saw a lot of commentary on this last night. I did not watch it live. The clips on Twitter were enough. I feel like I got everything I needed. But I thought Tom Brady actually did quite a great job at getting roasted. Being roasted is not fun.
He just had to sit there and wear it for about 2.5 hours before he got his chance.
Yeah, you wear it and have fun with it. And I thought he really did a good job. He's pretty good at everything he does, and he's going to be fine on television, I think. And you see a little bit of his personality talking yesterday. Which clip do you have, Paulie?
We got a few.
All right, fire a few out. I like this.
So Bill Belichick was the surprise.
He was amazing.
And throughout the first half of the roast, people kept saying, Belichick wished he could be here. He'd probably have something to say like this to you, Tom, or something like that. And then all of a sudden, hey, up next, Bill Belichick, and the place goes nuts. So Tom Brady got his chance to talk to his coach, his former coach.
And now, for the real reason y'all here, Coach Bill Belichick. I've been out of the game for a minute, so I'm curious. How many Super Bowl rings have you won since I left? Maybe it's not just the guy on the sideline. When I go to the Indy 500, I don't ask the winning driver, hey, who gassed up your car?
Pretty good, man.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Tom Brady was really good, man. I mean, I know people either loved him or you hated him, but
it's hard to hate him.
It is. He still lacks some charisma, but to put yourself out there, I gave him a tip of the cap. It's funny to see him cursing, and he was probably hammered at that point. Let's see. He talked about Deflategate, and this was interesting. It sounded like a little bit of an admission of guilt years later.
We got so many great football greats here tonight. But where's Roger Goodell?
He sounds like Roger Goodell.
I know. Remember Deflategate? The NFL spent $20 million and found that it was more probable than not that I was generally aware that someone may have deflated my footballs. You could have just given me the $20 million, and I would just told you I did it.
We knew it.
I still got a couple more clips. He made a joke at Kim Kardashian's expense that she was not very happy with.
I think this was the ballsiest move of the night.
They panned it. They panned the camera over to her, and the look that she gave him was not good.
Kim Kardashian, thank you so much for being here. I know Kim was terrified to be here tonight. Not because of this, but because her kids are home with their dad.
You have a target now. You know what I mean? Like Kanye.
You're enemy number one for Kanye
He does
West.
not play right now. He's not well. He's not well. You can't go after an unwell person. Yeah. In my opinion.
And she did talk at the podium for a minute.
Yeah.
But she was like sitting at the tables. She was not one of the official roasters.
Correct.
So she just was getting dragged.
Just getting
She did come up on stage and she got booed.
Booed.
Kevin Hart and Jeff Ross had to be like, hey, come on.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was from what I saw. Some of the clips were just outstanding.
I'll give you one more. This is the one that a lot of people are talking about. The one joke that made Tom Brady extremely uncomfortable to the point where he had to walk up to Jeff Ross, who was at the mic, and whisper in his ear that the mic picked it up.
The hot mic.
I thought it was interesting. I'm like, really, of all the things that were said, this is where we're drawing the line tonight.
That scrawny rookie famously walked into the owner, Robert Kraft's office and said, I'm the best decision your organization has ever made. Would you like a massage? I love Robert Kraft. I
Say
love
that again.
Okay.
He
He's
was not
having
kidding.
fun. Look at him.
Don't say that S
Don't
again.
say it again. If you're Robert Kraft and you went to, what was the name of that place? Flowering Lotus or something? I can't remember.
In Florida?
Yeah, he went. Look, he went. He did what he did. You're on stage. You have to know. You can't go to a roast and go, this is off limits. You know, the time that I went and got
Orchids of Asia Day
Orchids
Spa.
of Asia. That was close. What did I say? Flowering Lotus? Pretty close.
There's a flower.
Flower.
in there, definitely. Now that was really other people getting roasted. Tom got roasted as well. There were Bridget Moynihan jokes. There were Giselle jokes.
Yeah.
She wasn't there, by the way. But there were plenty of jokes about him. I thought one of the best ones was about him giving up his family so he could return to go 8-9 for the Tampa Bay Bucks his last season.
Kevin Hart, something like hey, look, Giselle made you the ultimatum. Retire or I'm done. Retire or I'm done. And Tom, look, man, when you get the chance to go 8-9,
You got to take it. You got to take it every time.
Do what you got to do.
Somebody in there said Tom Brady has the personality of a potato. I don't get that. I thought he did pretty well.
I thought Gronk was great.
Gronk is hysterical.
Gronk might have got roasted more than anybody.
The jokes about Gronk were really good. Oh, I noticed Gronk's here. I should have known when I saw we were out of chocolate milk in the green room. I mean, it's nice that Gronk was able to take time away from writing letters to Santa to be here tonight. Murdered me.
Aaron Hernandez took some jokes, too. I said the
my
bar for Gronk to be a
God.
great tight end was pretty low. Block, catch, don't murder.
Don't murder. Oh, my Lord. I mean, it's hardcore. It was
pretty
It was
hardcore.
cool. But then, with the football guys, with Belichick, Brady, and Robert Kraft, there's been so much speculation and animosity reported between the three of them. They all, cheers, took a shot together. It was cool, man.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
Gronk spiked his shot glass and hurt a woman in the front row.
course.
Yeah, of course he did. So, I will say the Aaron Hernandez jokes made me little uncomfortable. Little uncomfortable.
And that is Don't and Do This for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, even before Luis Arraez got to San Diego or got to Arizona, the Padres got off to a really good start of the weekend. We'll go back through a little bit of Friday's game as well as we continue our Padres discussion on a Monday morning with more Ben and Woods next on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. yesterday, a nice run of starting pitching going. Question is, can they get it back going again this week? We'll talk about Friday's performance by Dylan Cease and what the Padres are going to do going forward with Joe Musgrove going on to the injured list right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Yeah, definitely starting to look like a Monday morning, guys. Got this crash on the Mission Bay on-ramp to southbound 5. Also, westbound 52, Santo Road crash blocking the fast lane. Westbound King Freeway at Kelton, 2-vehicle accident over to the right shoulder. Also want to mention the Surface Street accident in La Mesa. Busy intersection here, Avocado Boulevard and Fuerte. Apparently a head-on collision, so watch out for some confusion there. Also getting reports of a semi that caught fire westbound 8 right before Willows Road, so over the right shoulder. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, the Padres' first 4-game winning streak of the season, and check that box off. Didn't get that until September of last year. Padres starting pitching, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Dylan Cease, and Michael King walked 0 batters in 4 straight games.
Makes a huge difference.
Not a surprise that the Padres won all 4 games. Of course, yesterday, Matt Waldron walks the batter before he gets an out, and of course, Padres end up losing 11-4. So key not to give those free base runners, but Dylan Cease bounced back from the tough effort against the Phillies, just like other pitchers did, with a really good effort on Friday night against the Diamondbacks. 6 2/3 innings, 3 hits. Guy gives up like 2 to 4 hits every single game. That's about it. You're not going to see much more than that with Dylan Cease on the mound. 8 strikeouts, just 1 earned run. And after a bit of a slow start offensively against Slade Ciccone, the Padres broke through in the 4th inning with back-to-back home runs by Fernando Tatis Jr., Jake Cronenworth. Manny Machado hit an absolute laser beam shot on Friday night, and the Padres went on to that 7-1 win over the Diamondbacks. And that was before the whole Luis Arraez trade. They really looked solid to open that series in Arizona.
Yeah, it was a nice dub on Friday night, to be sure. And I like, so many good ABs by the guys. And look, taking a series from Arizona, and they're limping a little bit, certainly, but you had to have that. I mean, you just had to have that. The sweep yesterday would have been so nails to get, but that's it's going to be one that eludes us, for now. Never know what can happen.
But now going forward, with Joe Musgrove headed to the injured list, it really is going to be a juggling act for Mike Schilt as to how he's going to get through this week. Yu Darvish is going to start tonight, 4:40 first pitch, I believe, 3:40 Eco Water SoCal pregame show against the Cubs, and hopefully he can throw not just as well as he did in his last start coming off the injured list, but maybe go a little bit deeper as well. I think he just went to 5 innings last time. Can he get 6 or 7 out of Yu Darvish? Tomorrow, Randy Vasquez has been called up. I'm assuming he'll get the start, although Mike Schilt wouldn't officially name a starting pitcher for the game. Randy Vasquez will probably pitch at some point. If it's not first, it'll be second, maybe out of the pen. In some way, you're going to see Randy Vasquez. And then on Thursday or Wednesday against the Cubs to wrap up the series, Dylan Cease will get a chance to go again and see if he can back that up. But we talked about earlier, the Cubs are throwing 3 very hot pitchers at the Padres this week, and even though the Padres took 2 or 3 from the Cubs, this is a dangerous, tough series for the team coming up.
I mean, back to back, bro. It's going to be it's nasty. It's a nasty week ahead for our San Diego Padres, Benjamin. And again, hanging around is what this team needs to do. They're seemingly allergic to going over 500, but hanging around 500. Who signs up for 3-3 this week? I do.
Yes.
Right. Like
absolutely
100%.
All hands raised.
All hands raised. 3-3 this week would be fantastic. Fantastic.
Last time we asked for that, I think they went 5-1.
That's true. That's true. Any jelly bean bets you want to make if they sweep one of these?
You know what?
Series?
My jelly beans that I ate on Friday, I was sick the rest of the day.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't even risk making jelly bean bets because if I had to pay them off, I literally could not eat. It's maybe just as good as an SDFatLoss.com program as the jelly bean diet. Eat one bean, nothing tastes good anymore.
No.
It really wrecked the rest of my day. So thanks a lot for all of that, jelly beans.
Now you know.
I can't believe you ate a handful of them.
Katie wants 4-2. Hey, 4-2 is great. 5-1's fantastic. 6-0 is even better. Trying to be realistic here, on the road against 3 of the best pitchers going right now, and then against the LA Dodgers,
The hypothetical is: would you sign up for 3-3 or take your chances at 4-2, 5-1, 6?
Sign up for 3.
I signed that 3-3 on the nose.
This is a dangerous week.
It's a dangerous week, and guys are down, and you're talking about juggling things, and it just I take that.
Cubs,
I take that 3-3.
Cubs took 2 of 3 from the Brewers in a very big series for them, so they're tied for first in the NL Central. Craig Counsell getting the best of Pat Murphy in that series, and the Dodgers just swept the Braves.
Yeah.
They've won 11 of 13. Shohei Ohtani hit 2 more home runs. He's now tied for the league lead with 10. He's red hot. You're catching both of these teams just like you caught the Phillies, who, by the way, have continued to do what they did to the Padres going forward. They had that one blip against the Angels that they lost, but they've won 9 out of 10, 16 out of 19. Bryce Harper hit a 3-run home run Sunday Night Baseball as they completed a sweep of the Giants. That kind of sort of explains last weekend's series a little bit. The Phillies are just insanely hot right now. They go through these periods. We saw it in the postseason, early in the postseason last year. Then they'll inexplicably cool off for a while, and you go, what happened to the Phillies? Why aren't they playing well again? That is one of the hotter, colder running teams that we've seen the last couple of years. When they're hot, they are unbeatable.
No doubt.
But when they're cold, it's like, all right, they can't score. Nothing happens. They lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks the last 3 games in the National League Championship Series. But they are hot right now. Dodgers are hot. Cubs are hot. And that's who the Padres have to face coming up this week. Now, going back to Friday, I believe that was the game again that the Diamondbacks, was it McGuff that they brought in at the end that dusted Fernando Tatis Jr.?
It's spelled like McGow.
Yeah. Magoo. But
Magoo.
He came in late. Game was already out of hand, and once again, Fernando Tatis Jr. ends up in the dirt on his butt.
This one was
after
close.
a pitch that comes high and in. And
that was close.
He took a second to get up. He did not look super pleased.
And while, yes, we will even acknowledge as Padres fans that Fernando Tatis Jr. sometimes overreacts to the normal inside pitch with the way he dodges and gets out of the way.
I've said it before. I'm glad he does. It's a defense mechanism, and some of the guys that don't actually bend are the ones that wear it on the hands. And if the hands go, you're toast. So I overreact, be dramatic, whatever you want to do. That ball was 95, 96 to the face.
He's gotten a lot of them. I saw the pitch dots upside. I mean, there's been 11 or 12 of them that have been in the general vicinity of his head this year.
And I saw, a lot of people saying, well, this kid, this is who he is. He's wild, man. He's wild. He's wild up in the zone, and we've seen it before from him. Okay, fine. It doesn't. Both things can be true, that your pitcher can't really corral his heater, and that you threw at our superstar up and in, intentional or not, again. And again, let's make no mistake. If you're a starting pitcher, Benjamin Higgins, and Fernando Tatis is at the dish, you know what to do. Bust him in, go away. Hard in, soft away. This has been going on in baseball for 100 years, right? We know that. It doesn't make it any better, because if he does end up wearing one, things could happen. Bad things could happen.
The question now is, what, if anything, are the Padres going to do about it? Because we really haven't seen anything yet, although Mike Schilt did at least address the issue verbally after Friday night's game. Do we not have that audio?
No, we don't.
I thought we did have that audio.
No, we have his quote.
We have his quote. All right. Do you have his quote?
Yes.
Give me his quote then. I thought we had the audio.
No.
His
quote was, after Friday night's game, we're seeing way too many pitches up and in on Toddy. It's enough. It really is enough. If you want to throw in, that's fine, but I don't know what people are trying to accomplish by throwing up and in. All you're doing is pissing the guy off, and it's uncalled for. It's happening way too frequently, and it's not something that we're going to tolerate much longer.
I told him this at spring training, that had been an issue the last couple of years, and he said they're not going to tolerate it. But so far,
they've tolerated it.
I think it's been tolerated 11 times. So was it lucky number 12?
It's like you and your kids. You say you won't tolerate.
I'm not going to tolerate.
But then you
this.
tolerate.
Yeah, you tolerate. And it's just interesting to me, because it's not, in my opinion, something that ever should have to come from a manager. It should never have to come from a manager. There should be someone on that team, in that rotation, in that bullpen, that says, don't worry, I got it. Stephen Kolek, great dude to go do it. Seriously. Adrian Morejon, who just throws gas. Just buzz a guy's hip. Do something to let him know, we got your back, kid. Now, it's nice, I guess, to hear your manager, hey, you guys do this 15, 16 more times, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, it's been a baker, almost a baker's dozen of him, getting up and in. But again,
until they actually do something about it, it's lip service.
You do have to pick the right moment, though.
You do.
It has to be fairly clear why you're throwing at a guy.
How about like in an 11-3 game or whatever?
It has to be after Tatis gets dusted. You can't just do it 2 days later
Sure you can.
and just announce that this was for Tatis getting dusted.
And you don't announce it. You just, ball got away from me. I don't know what happened.
Right, but it also has to be clear why you're doing it.
Oh, it's painfully clear why you
It would have been clear if they had done
Who's
it.
their superstar?
Saturday? I don't know. Who is the Diamondback superstar?
Corbin Carroll? Is it?
He's their 8th hitter hitting like 180.
Ketel Marte.
I guess Ketel Marte is the hottest hitter. And they don't have a superstar is the
Christian
problem.
Walker? I mean, just to let them know, hey, man, we got it too. You always hear Mud say, we've got that pitch too. And then my immediate response to the TV in real time is, do we? Do we? Because I hear it a lot. And again, if I'm Fernando, it's not like you're going to walk into the clubhouse and be like, is anybody going to have my back? It's just an unspoken, unsaid. Baseball has always policed itself. We have no cops on our team. If baseball is policing itself, we've got no cops on our team. And I'm actually bummed Mike Schilt even said a word about it, to be honest. I just think you don't say a word. You just do it. You just do it and let them know we've got that too. But it just hasn't happened yet. And I'm not calling for I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see an injury. Our luck, somebody will break his hand and be out for 6 months, But there is a way to do it that hurts no one and lets you know, hey, man, we're not cool with that. It's just not going to happen all year.
Now, I don't know that it stops it from happening, even if you do throw inside or throw back at the other team. I mean, if they can get Fernando Tatis Jr. out, it's worth them to continue doing that. And Tatis is going to have to continue to make sure that they know that even when you do that, I'm still going to, pick the right pitches to swing at, and it's not going to make a difference. Right now, he's been swinging at some sliders on the outside corner that he's been missing at, and, as long as that happens, I don't think they're going to change strategies at all.
I wouldn't.
He's tough enough to get out as it is.
Yep.
And this is the one way they feel like they can do it. So probably going to see more of it. All right, we're halfway home. Reset everything. Come back next year on The Fan.
All right, we're halfway home on a Monday. Ben and Woods, 97.3 The Fan. Been a fun morning talking about the Luis Arráez deal and, getting ourselves worked into a tizzy about the upcoming games this week. But that is really what baseball is all about. I saw a tweet over the weekend that really summed it up for me, and I retweeted it from my account. It really made a lot of sense. Baseball fandom. This is from Max Manis. Baseball fandom is just willingness to commit to alternating between the season is over and we are so incredibly back on a nightly basis for 6 months. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. This team looked dead in the water a week ago. Much, much better now. And that's just the way it goes. And I love that. I love that about this game of baseball. I love that there's a game today. You lost yesterday. I love that there's a game today. As challenging as Justin Steele and the Cubs will be, I love that you get another chance because anything can happen. Football, excruciating, right? Waiting 6 more days, 7 days for another game. It's just the worst. You lose, and you got that sour taste in your mouth the entire week. So it's one of my favorite things. I love the almost everyday immediacy of baseball. I love living and dying with every single pitch.
And we're not going to change.
No, I'm not going to change.
I saw some season is over tweets from Giants fans, or I guess the Giants just aren't very good this year. Maybe they aren't, or maybe they'll figure it out at some point. I mean, they have some good players.
They got good pitching.
The Diamondbacks, they've had some injuries, but they went to the World Series last year. They did not look very good. They have not looked very good this season for the most part, but I can't say that their season's done yet either. By the way, right now, 500 would be in the playoffs in the National League.
No doubt.
The Washington Nationals currently hold the third and final wild card spot at 17-17, half a game ahead of the Padres.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a long way to go, and everybody's still in it right now, other than maybe the Marlins in the National League.
Yeah, that's
and the
exactly.
Rockies. But everybody else is in it.
It's exactly right, and I love it. Can't wait for 440 today. I'm Woodsy. That's Paul Reindl, the executive producer. Ben Higgins, your friendly neighborhood sports anchor, joins us as well, and I got a doozy for you guys that happened over the weekend. And, you think you have your wife maybe figured out after being together for 10 years. And then you realize, clearly I know nothing. I know nothing about women as a whole, my wife, who I'm married, mother of my children. So she signed up to do a half marathon. That's 13.1 miles. So she's been training for that. Very proud of her. She's such a diligent, puts her head down and just accomplishes things. It's remarkable. Her discipline is, they should write books about it. So she says to me, my half marathon is on a Sunday. What time is your baseball game that day? I said, it's a late game, 3:30, which is a late start for us. So
usually marathons are early in the day.
Yeah, they run early. They'll be done, all wrapped up by 9 a.m. So I got plenty of time, whatever, watch the kids. And I said, why do you ask? And she said, well, what are you planning? And I said, for what?
Oh, you got to plan the whole day.
So she said, for the post-race. And I go, you want me to plan something? And she said, yeah. And I go, oh okay, no problem. What would you like to do? And she's like, you really weren't going to plan anything? I'm like, because you went for a run? All right. I didn't know. Like, I was going to be here watching the kids and, yeah, like, you come home, what would you like me to do?
Oh,
and she was very disappointed. And she said, I go, babe, like, she goes, oh, is it because you have a baseball game? I go, no, I'll check the schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's a late game. And I said, hey, it is a late game. And I said, the guy called me. We have so many makeups because of the rain. He asked if we could play on Mother's Day. And I said, absolutely not. I'm not playing on Mother's Day. Are you trying to get me killed? You know what she says to me? This is the doozy. I would have rather you played on Mother's Day than my race day. I go, excuse me? She goes, yeah. I go, you're joking. And she said, no. I would have rather you played baseball on Mother's Day with your friends than on my race day. And I went, it's back to the drawing board for your old pal Woods here. I was flabbergasted. So
that surprises me.
So
I'm not surprised
this
about.
This is an interesting one.
I'm not surprised about her expecting something planned on race day.
You're not surprised.
That is a very common thing. I'm surprised. Like normally, I would have expected you to take the kids and watch the race.
So she said no.
Meet her at the finish line.
Said don't drag them downtown and make them stand
That's
there
fair.
for how long does it take? half.
She doesn't want to see their smiling faces as she goes by for a little extra motivation. I think you should be there.
Shut your
stake
pie
out
hole.
a spot early, like
Shut
5:30
Like 2
a.m.
hours?
Yeah,
A little
okay,
over 2.5 hours?
So me, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, standing there. Is that mom? No. 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 Mama? No.
They know
No.
what your
No.
mom- their
No.
mom
No.
looks
No.
like.
No, they
No.
don't.
No. No.
They all look
I
the
wanna
same when
go.
they're running.
You forget my 6-year-old wanted to leave Disneyland. He's going to go down and stand downtown and be like, cool, this is awesome, killer, awesome. Oh, cool, people are running. So I'm in the chamber.
But it is very common for a big brunch or something to be planned for after the race. They've been training so hard, watching what they eat, and now it's time to unload.
That I can help with. But fine. Okay, I'll give you that. But I'd rather be celebrated for my jog
That's
than
surprising.
Mother's Day it put me right back to square one with this woman.
So, yeah, this one's a dilemma for me because there's no doubt that the training that goes into a half marathon or a marathon, the work that goes into it is worth celebrating if you accomplish it. But at the same time, it's very much an optional activity that no one is forcing you to do. So you've chosen to take your free time and use it on this. And that was her choice, that she wanted to run this race and do this race. And she should deserve a lot of praise for it.
Well, it's
At the same
optional
time,
to go get your master's, but that's still worth celebrating afterwards.
You choose. It's optional to play Tier 1 baseball, but you
Yeah.
go out, you practice, you work hard.
Do you see her in the stands on Sundays, Paulie?
Or should you be celebrated after the games?
No.
At maybe,
No.
with a special, like you win, you should have something special that she sets up for. You don't expect anything special after your Sunday activities.
You know, the only thing I expect is that I don't get murdered when I walk in for being gone for 5
Yeah,
hours.
when I go play golf, on a Saturday morning, it's how I choose to spend my free time in the morning. I don't expect to then be honored and
Praised
celebrated
because you got a birdie
no
or
matter
two?
how good I play or if I finish.
I shot a 69. That's fantastic.
Finish the 18 holes.
Go scrub the shower.
I don't expect celebration afterwards.
Oh, she doesn't like it when I call it her jog, by the way. She's not happy about her jog. That was a shot. I'll admit. That was a shot. Her jog.
I mean, you got to pace yourself, though. You can't just sprint all out.
But again, so she says I could call my commissioner and go, you know what? Turns out we will play on Mother's Day. She's good. If I disappear at 7 o'clock in the morning on Mother's Day to go play a 9 o'clock game, come back at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, exhausted, worn out, and be like, all right, cool, happy Mother's Day, she'll murder me. She'll murder me. Right? I have to go big. So now what happens is now I'm doing double planning. I'm doing Mother's Day planning and I'm doing jog planning. Long jog planning.
Half marathon planning.
I just don't know what to do. I don't know I don't know the answers to this.
You should actually look forward to planning things because you love your wife so much that you wish there were more things you could plan and celebrate her for.
That's one take. But I'd rather be celebrated for this than, I'll tell you this. There's nothing that I do in the world that would take precedent for me over Father's Day. Nothing. Like nothing. There's nothing. Like, you better celebrate me on Father's Day. It's my favorite day of the year, right? Sit on your ass, do nothing, get catered to, the one out of 365. I'm in on it. And I wanted to give that to you. And you told me that one's not important, but me going jogging with my friends is more important. And I want you to roll out the red carpet.
What do you think they did for those Kentucky Derby horses that ran on Saturday?
Nothing.
I mean, they trained long time for that race.
They gave them oats.
They
and they
sprinted.
put them back in their cage and drove them to the next one.
You give Hannah some oats,
This
oatmeal.
is crazy, man. Crazy.
Feed her well and
Hannah says
brush her mane.
Mother's Day is.
You brush her mane.
I will brush her mane. She says Mother's Day is for my children. Yeah, and what are they going to plan a brunch and pay for it? No, I am doing it. This is stupid, dude. I'm telling you, I don't know what I'm doing clearly. Clearly, I have no idea. I mean, enjoy the jog. I guess I'll drag them down there and we'll watch you jog and run, and then we'll.
What day's the half marathon?
Like on a Sunday, couple weeks.
It's always very early on Sundays.
B Rideout says, "When's the last time you ran a half marathon, Woods?" I'm not insane. I know not to do that. I know not to do a half marathon. I can't even do a 5K. With a gun into my head, I could not run a 5K. I'm not kidding. I'm not a distance runner. So I wouldn't expect to be, I don't expect to be celebrated for adult ball and things like that, like you just said. Also, Paulie, you ever see her face in the stands out on Sundays? No, I get it. I give her that pass as much as I would want. Yeah, she came to pick up the kids that I had taken there. That's why she came. I don't expect it, but she does. And I'm certainly not going to trade Father's Day for it. I want you to this game. I want you taking notes. I want you watching every pitch. Never. So I don't know what to do.
I think she's putting more effort into her half marathon than we put into a baseball game.
Yeah, I mean that's not debatable, really. She's training hard for it. I just don't.
And I assume that when she's training, you're probably watching the kids.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're helping
Like if
her
she
out
didn't
in
say
that
anything,
way.
you would just expect her to leave in the morning,
go
to the
run her race, come home. How did it go? It went good. Great, congratulations.
I'm very proud of you.
Much like what happens when I walked in yesterday. How did you guys do? We lost 6-1. Bummer. We played well.
Are you supposed to eat the carbs before or after or both?
I have no idea.
That
I'm
seems
not a
like
runner.
That
You
would be
see
the only
me.
part of running I would like. The carb loading.
Is she calling in? Oh, no. I thought somebody said she was on the other line. I'm like, how would you know? You're in the chat. No, I mean, I'm going to celebrate both. We'll go big. I thought it was an interesting, the choice that she made. That's the interesting part to me. So like, I'm not off the hook for Mother's Day. I still have to go big for this. But by her telling me, oh, I'd rather have that be celebrated, that was the weird part to me. Don't you agree?
That surprised me.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I think both are celebratory days.
She says the kids are in bed when she's training, but nice try. Yeah, who's there supervising them? I am. If something happens, she is going to murder me when I get home. Oh, well. I mean, I thought I'd bring it up. I thought it was interesting. So if anybody knows any giant tent rentals or, could rent out an arena or something for this jog, and we'll celebrate it and we'll do it right. And then also I'm going to need a place for Mother's
Sound
Day.
space here at
Maybe the sound
Odyssey?
space? Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, get everybody up here. All right. Well, there's that. Thanks for all of your advice, fellas. You really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I don't think we really helped you at all with your dilemma.
I told you that you absolutely need to have a meal, a brunch or something planned after.
Paul, you actually make us look bad all the time.
Yeah.
You're a very good husband,
Yes.
probably better than either of the two of us. So just pipe down over there. You make things worse for the two of us.
Yeah, it's definitely making it worse. I was going to do something big on Mother's Day. Guess I won't now. Since it's not important. People tell me I'm digging my own grave. Quality time, she says she wants. Okay. Got you. I got you. Interesting topic.
All right, we're going to take a little time out. We're going to digest what you just heard. We'll come back. I would like to hear from some Padres fans with your thoughts on the Luis Arráez trade. For the most part, it seems like the general consensus is both teams did fairly well in the trade. Do you agree with that sentiment that the Marlins did what they had to do and the Padres did well?
Who's saying that?
I just saw Jim Bowden this morning in The Athletic go, hey, I thought it was a win for both teams in the trade.
Right.
So Keith Law was not that high on it for the San Diego Padres.
Shocker.
Thought that the Marlins did much better. Saw other people say, I think the Marlins could have gotten more. There's a lot of mixed opinion on this trade. Curious to hear what the Tier 1s have to say. 833-288-0973. You can join us. Coming up next after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. Got Sammy Levitt coming up in just over 10 minutes to talk some Padres baseball. If you want to give us your thoughts on the Luis Arráez trade and how the Padres made out, 833-288-0973. Ben and Woods brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. It only takes 15 minutes. You don't have to get out of your car. For directions and discounts, go to SoCalOilChange.com. That's SoCalOilChange.com. Seems like the general consensus has been pretty positive about the Luis Arráez trade. And from a baseball fan perspective, I don't see why not. He's fun to watch. He's going to be on base. He's going to be doing good things at the top of the Padres order. He lengthens the lineup. I guess we'll never know. I mean, if Jacob Marcy and Dylan Head turn out to be all-stars someday, it's probably not a good trade. You're getting the rest of this season, and you're getting next season of Luis Arráez, and then he's a free agent. So, not even as long as you had Juan Soto for, essentially. You're going to have to give him up unless you want to sign him to a long-term contract extension, and that is going to be expensive. It's the reason why the Marlins were looking at trading him, because they weren't probably likely going to be able to afford him to a long-term extension. So,
well, and when your GM comes out and says, we're not making the playoffs this year, and they're 30 games in, I mean, yeah, the writing was on the wall, certainly for the Miami Marlins.
But ultimately, A.J. Preller's put himself in this mode where they both have to pull back on the payroll, yet try to compete with the stars they've put on the field. And for the tightrope that he has created for himself, and it is a over the Grand Canyon kind of thing. How do you both save money and be aggressively acquiring players at the same time? It's impossible, right? He's actually done it. He had to let go of the Cy Young Award winner, the probably best player in baseball so far this season, in Juan Soto in the offseason. Yet, he acquired Dylan Cease. He's acquired Luis Arráez. He's put a team on the field that has been at least competitive through the first month plus of the season. He's still walking that tightrope. He has not fallen off yet. He could fall off either way.
Could fall off at any time.
At any time and lose his job. But right now he remains perched on that tightrope trying to get by. What are your thoughts? Let's go out to the phones for a couple of minutes here before Sammy joins us. We got Raphael calling in this morning with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Raphael.
Hey guys, good morning. Been a long minute since the Christmas extravaganza, but on Friday a family member called me up out of the blue, just randomly. He goes, "Hey, did you hear what the Padres did?" No. He goes, "Yeah, they got some guy named Arráez," and I took it with a grain of salt because I'm like, this guy's always comes up with some crazy ideas. So just out of curiosity, I did some searching. I'm like, at first I was like, this has got to be a joke. I'm like, what is Preller doing? And when I realized, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then just like Paulie said this morning, we got this guy for pennies on a dollar. I'm like, we gave up these guys, but, Marlins are pretty much paying his entire salary and we're only paying this much. I was shocked. I was like literally shocked. And then, Steve, you got my message yesterday morning, right?
Yeah.
I sent you. I was like, Friday was like, wow, what, okay, they kicked butt. Saturday, they just exploded with, Arráez just starting off. I'm like, what in God's name happened last night? And then I said, hey, I'm going to wait for the morning show today to kind of divulge on what you guys are going to say about it. But honestly, this was probably one of the best acquisitions that Pro did. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Soto was great and all that, but, we got him late, in the middle of the season, but we got Arráez a little earlier. I think I like this trade better than the Soto. Don't get me wrong, Soto's a great guy. He's doing great with the Yankees, but I got a really good feeling about this trade, this acquisition, and the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's a good call, and I feel the same way. And the Soto deal was just such a blockbuster. And you see what C.J. Abrams has been able to do this year. The reports about James Wood, he could be a superstar in this league. You had
Mackenzie Gore's been pretty solid as well.
He got roughed up yesterday. I mean, it's going to happen. It happens to the best of them. But I liked Kyle Glazer's tweet about this the other night when it came out. Kyle, who we all love and respect in here, Kyle said, this is a very, very good deal. This is before, by the way, the money. This is before the money, where they're paying all of Arraez's salary, but $600,000.
So that makes it, whatever Kyle's about to say, even better.
Yeah. So this is a very, very good deal for the Padres. Head gets Cedric Mullins comps, was very far away as a teenager in low A. Martorella and Marcy project to be complementary players, and Go failed to make the Padres bullpen out of camp. Great deal for an elite pure hitter. And he follows up to say, the Marlins front office is going to be higher on Martorella and Marcy as an analytically driven group. Time will tell if they're right, but scouts have consistently viewed them as complementary types rather than true everyday players. And I think the same was said about Dylan Head. He mentioned that in the first tweet of could be Cedric Mullins. He's a teenager right now, and you may miss him in the year 2029. You're not going to miss him in the year 2024, the year 2025, probably the year 2026. But to get Arráez for, to try to, again, hang around and make the playoffs is absolutely a great move. Then you factor in that they paid down his salary this year.
What I don't understand from the Marlins' perspective is why didn't they hold out for more?
Correct.
It's not as though the price tag was going to drop in a couple of weeks. I see why A.J. Preller was aggressive early. Says having Arráez for most of this season is way better than just having him for the last 2 months after the trade deadline. You get more usage out of him. He can have a bigger impact on your club. It makes more sense for the Padres to trade early. For the Marlins, though, you may have gotten more teams involved. If you waited a few weeks, you may have gotten the bidding process going up, maybe more prospects involved, less money involved. I don't totally understand why the Marlins just raced to make this deal. It wasn't such a good deal that they go, we have to do it. And
how long has he been behind the desk? 2 months?
Peter Bendix? Yeah. I have to credit AJ with maybe the negotiating skills here. And I don't know if there was this is my best offer. If you don't take it now, I'm going and looking at other options. And it's, off the table. If there was an ultimatum given to the Marlins and not if you change your mind, call us again. We're just going to be waiting for you to make an answer. I've got to think that AJ applied a little bit of pressure here going, well, and this is a good deal. If you want it, take it. If not, I have to move on and go on something else. I'm offering these guys to other teams. Because I don't know why otherwise the Marlins would have jumped at this at the time that they did. They didn't have to, and good for the Padres for getting it done.
Well, it's a phone call that says, yeah, okay, fine. We would need you to pay down some money. We'll throw in a better prospect, too, in Jacob Marcy, because he was kind of the late addition to the deal. You're going to pay this down. Hey, man, I got moves to make. We are looking for X. You have him. If you don't accept this deal, I have to go elsewhere, Peter. I have to. This is 5.
You may want to be patient. We are not.
We can't be. We are not in the position to be patient. If you wait till the deadline, the value could drop. You need to pull the trigger here. I mean, yeah, you're talking about a seasoned GM against a guy that's been there for 3 weeks. And in my opinion, rarely do I think that Preller fleeces somebody on a deal. This one, in my opinion, is a fleece. Especially when you start reading about guys being complementary type pieces. And you're like, okay, those are your headliners? Done. And the money, you cannot discount that. We still have flexibility to make moves.
It is very easy to fall into, I think it's a bit of a trap. Like we
are... It's a trap. It's a trap.
I forgot about the...
Admiral Akbar last week.
As Padre fans, we get the prospect rankings and the farm system rankings waved in front of us pretty much all year round, every single year. Preller is the best at restocking the farm system, and we fall in love with these prospects. And just because somebody may be a top 10 or a top 15 prospect in the Padres organization, that doesn't mean they're a top 10 or 15 prospect in baseball. Like Ethan Salas is at least the one guy that if he's involved in a trade, you're like, oh man, what did we get in return? That one might hurt us.
What did we get? 6 years of control for a fireballing starter? All right, I'll take a listen. But no,
a guy like Marcy was a marginal prospect to begin with, but because we had so much need in our outfield, we're like, hey, this guy could be great. We could use him. But now ultimately, he is what he is.
And also, I mean, remember, Jackson Merrill's come in and cemented his position as the center fielder of the future.
Made a big difference, I think, in this trade.
For dirt cheap, and he's good, and we love him. And he's going to be here a long time.
There's still not a lot of spot to move him back to the infield. Even if Ha-Sung Kim goes, you still have Xander Bogaerts forever. You've got Tatis. You've got a lot of options there. Correct. So I like, just quickly in the chat, Dead Meow 5 says, Ben giving AJ too much credit. I like Grace, though. It was just to get AJ to shut up and stop calling, surely. There might be some of that. To AJ's persistence paying off at some point.
Dead Me Out 5 is a big Dodger fan. So when I saw the Dodger fans coming out of the woodwork to crap on Luis Arraez, I knew it was a good deal. That's how I know it's a good deal.
All right, let's take a quick timeout. Sammy Levitt, in-season Sammy, will join us. He's got some thoughts, I'm sure, on the trade and the weekend that was in Arizona, our weekly conversation. Coming up next with Bennett Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Loving that we can now get Sam Levitt on the YouTube stream for the pre and the post-game show. You got your Eco Water SoCal pregame show coming up at 3:40 today. Padres and Cubs, 4:40 first pitch from Wrigley Field, the hallowed grounds. I've been to Wrigley, and Woods, I know you've been to Wrigley. Paulie, ever been to Wrigley Field?
No, I have not been to Chicago at all. It's top of the list.
Definitely,
cities around the country I'd love to visit.
Yeah, definitely a bucket list type ballpark to visit. Sammy's got the pregame show for you later. We'll talk with Sammy Levitt right after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Overturned crash has cleared on westbound 52 before Santo Road. Still seeing quite a bit of leftover slowing, though, heading out of the Santee area. Also, a collision on westbound 8 at Los Coches. A couple vehicles involved. Looks like that is in the center divide. Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows a stalled vehicle on northbound 15 before Friars Road. That is in the center divide. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
On your way to work, want to keep listening to us even after you park your car, you can do so with the Odyssey app, Odyssey.com. Just download the app, visit us, search 97.3 The Fan, click on our show, download the Odyssey app today to get started. And we are joined right now by one of the hardest working men in radio baseball world. It is Sam Levitt with us here on 97.3 The Fan. Hello, Sammy.
Hi, Sammy.
Good morning, guys. Greetings from Pacific Beach. And one conversation topic I would really like to hear on an upcoming show, maybe during a foreplay. Have you ever had a good breakfast scone? I don't know about you. I've never had a great scone. I was thinking about getting a
No, good scones don't exist.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I got an idea.
Good to know. I'm with you.
Grab yourself, go into your pantry, get the biggest spoon you have, dig it deep, deep, deep into your bag of flour, then sprinkle some blueberries on top, wolf the whole thing down, and you've just eaten yourself a breakfast.
You guys have
Put
not
a little
gone
sugar
to
in there.
A really good pastry place because
I've been to England. I've been to Paris.
A good scone is delicious. It's not as sweet as some of the other pastries. If you're just looking for a sweet pastry, don't get the scone. But if you're looking for like some buttery crumbliness, it is delicious.
It doesn't exist.
It's better with a little coffee or a tea, perhaps.
Nope.
Like they eat it in England. But I am a fan of scones.
I've been to England. The scones there were terrible. It's
you just don't like scones.
Flowery.
No, you just don't like scones.
Oh, here's what you do. Wad up 6 pieces of Wonder Bread. Sprinkle some sugar on top. Jam some blueberries in there. Shove that whole thing in your mouth, and that's what you get. You get a scone, okay? Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Why get scones when you can get a croissant or a biscuit? That's my motto.
All right, let's move from scone talk to baseball talk. So what was the timeline like on Friday in terms of the game, your show, and the trade news coming down, Sammy?
Never a dull moment, Sammy.
No, never a dull moment with the Padres and A.J. Preller. They do keep it interesting. The timeline for me on Friday was I had the news broken to me by Jesse and Tony. Jesse and Tony talked about it on the air right before the game started. The news came down during that 10, 12 minutes between my pregame show and the game starting. So actually the first time I heard of it was actually from Jesse on the air as that broadcast started. And then obviously the reports came down on social media and all that, and we were following it. So yeah, I kind of found out right with everybody else, and found out live on the air. And I think Jesse and Tony broke it to a lot of people because of the odd timing of it on a Friday night on May 3rd of all times to make a trade like that.
It was amazing. I mean, it happened right before the Seals game, Sammy, and I was a wreck. I mean, my phone was going crazy. The Seals game's about to start, playoff game, and I'm a wreck. And I'm looking at this thing, and of course, you know, like we always say, you get the big guy, Arráez coming back, and then you got to wait to see what the return was. And then you saw the return trickle in, and then Marcy was added later, and that's all one component. You're like, oh, okay, well, there's a few players going back. Oh, I can't believe he got rid of Woo-Suk Go. And wow, good for him. And then the news comes in that the Marlins paid down, you know, his salary for the year. And that, to me, is really what put it over the edge. I was really stoked on it before.
Yeah.
Then you realize you're paying Luis Arraez $600,000 to play for you this year. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. And I think Peter Bendick's just got a nice little warm welcome to the big leagues from A.J. Preller. That's legitimately how I feel. Arraez could go 0 for his next 12. I'm still going to feel that way because the guy's been unreal.
Yeah, I really like the trade all the way around for all the reasons you mentioned. I think number one, focus on the player the Padres are getting and the fit he is in that lineup in particular. Somebody that you can bat lead off, that solves on most days the DH problem. Obviously, can play second base, can play some first base as well, so you can play him in the field. But I think on most days, well, likely when Manny's playing third base each and every day, is going to be this team's DH. And that was going to be a problem and a question that needed to be answered once Manny took that third base spot mostly every day. And this really answers it. And obviously you can cycle other guys through there. So it answers that question. From a fit in the lineup perspective, he's somebody we know what we're getting, right? I mean, somebody who's going to hit in the 300s in all likelihood, get on base, and as long as the guys behind him do what they're supposed to do, I think lengthens this lineup and creates more runs for this lineup, no doubt about it. And I think in the bigger picture of the trade on who they gave up, the Padres give up talent, of course, okay? Dylan Head is young, but obviously has a tremendous skill set and was a first-round pick for a reason a year ago. Marcy, somebody they were high on, as we know, gave him a look during spring training. Martorella could end up being a pretty good major leaguer. And, you know, the fact that AJ was able to attach Usucko and the contract to this deal, I thought was, you know, a really important part of it. And obviously the other side of the other financial part of it, when I heard that, I think Alden Gonzalez of ESPN was the first one to report on it, that the Marlins were going to pay the bulk of the salary. I mean, I halfway couldn't believe it. And I said to myself, wow, so they ended up getting a player like Arráez and somehow reducing payroll and not taking on significant money at all. And it frees them up to make additional moves if they are in contention, and still gives them an avenue to improve this team. So, you know, look, I think, and I was talking about it on a podcast yesterday, I think for a lot of people that looked at the Padres in the offseason and saw them trade Soto, saw them reduce payroll the way they did, they then look at the moves to first acquire Cease and then Arráez and say, well, what are the Padres doing? Which direction are they going? Are they promoting from within? Are they, you know, building through their farm? You know, or are they still spending money? Are they still, quote unquote, going for it? And I think you can do those two things simultaneously. Yeah. AJ Preller, to his credit, has built a system, rebuilt a system where you have the luxury to make a move like this, but still maintain top of the line position playing prospects. And you didn't touch your pitching prospects, which you may need here in the not too distant future. So, you know, to have the ability to do that, to continue building through the farm, not totally gut your system, but also acknowledge that because of the money you've spent, because of the stars that are here, and the potential of this current group, if you can just get there into the dance, what you could do, you got to keep your foot on the gas pedal. And I think the moves for Cease and now Arráez continue to do that. And no doubt they are a better team and offense with Arráez than they were before. So all the way around, I really, really liked that I did.
Talking to Sammy Levitt, and the trade also led to a viral moment on social media when
wild to see this.
Padres prospect Nathan Martorella was actually on second base for the San Antonio Missions when the trade kind of came down officially and had to be confusedly removed from the game. Now, Sammy, you've called a lot of minor league games. How often were you involved in like hug watches and when guys were actually pulled from the field because they were being sent to a different team's minor league organization like that?
Yeah, it's happened a few times. Now, I didn't have an experience like my friend Stephen Davis did, and the San Antonio Missions broadcast crew as well. They were on the road, and I actually got to know one of their I know both of their broadcasters there. I haven't really talked to them about it, but excuse me, the home broadcaster in Little Rock, Stephen Davis, is somebody I know really well. I haven't quite talked to him at length about it, but Stephen, I thought, did a great job sort of describing what was going on, and what a surreal video, right? I mean, you could tell Martorella had no idea what was going on. I've seen a couple of those things, not quite as dramatic and as a viral worthy as that. I mean, I'm thinking about like when I was in Corpus Christi in 2017, I think, when the Astros made the trade for Justin Verlander, the first one, before they won the World Series. or was that 2018? I can't remember now. But when they made the initial trade for Verlander, there were a couple of guys from that Corpus Christi team that went to Detroit, and one of them was a pitcher that we had at the time. But again, it wasn't as dramatic as like it was during the game. That was more during the day. I saw the other side of it, when the Padres made the trade with and they acquired Taylor Trammell. And Trammell came over, and he was immediately one of the team's top prospects. I remember, Trammell showing up to Amarillo and being inserted into the lineup that night. And I remember talking to Taylor initially, and, the only organization he had ever known was the Reds, and kind of, how surreal that was for him at the time. And so I remember stuff like that. But I've seen a little bit of it, but nothing as dramatic as literally pulling a guy off second base. So, that was, hey, I'm for those guys, look, it's tough in the moment, but I think no doubt, in the grand scheme of their careers, they got a better chance of probably making the major leagues and sticking there with the Marlins than they do the Padres right now. So for them, it ultimately, I think, is a pretty good thing for those guys.
Sammy, I want to go back to Arráez too, because when you mentioned all the prospects that the Padres still have, I'm looking at their prospect rankings right now, and you still have Ethan Salas, Robbie Snelling, Dylan Lesko, Leo Dallas DeVries, Adam Mazur, Graham Pauley, still a prospect. Yeah. I mean, again, Ryan Bergert, Homer Bush Jr., Randy Vasquez. I mean, these are all names you're hearing a lot. Some of these guys could potentially help you this season. Jackson Wolf, another guy they reacquired, Alec Jacob. I mean, these are all names we know. These are not like single A guys that aren't going to be able to help this year. What I really like the most about this deal, and I saw somebody make this point on Twitter, Luis Arráez, you can't add him to every team and him help. It's a good fit here in particular for what we were looking for. And also, like you heard Profar, as Ben mentioned earlier, Profar was so happy. He's like, good, I love hitting fifth. This is great. Yeah. Like it's the first time ever when guys have come in and said, no, this is great. I'm happy for this. You don't get the sense that
we'll make it work.
Not that we'll make it work.
We'll figure out
we'll
to make
figure
it work.
it out.
They're like genuinely this is perfect, what we needed.
It didn't feel like you're jamming a square peg in a round hole, as so many trades, not only with the Padres, but so many trades with other teams do. You're like, did you need him? Where is he going to play? How's he going to do that?
Right.
Oh, you're going to stick him out in left and see how it works? I mean, we had Adam Frazier out there playing left field at one point. That one didn't make sense. There were so many that have happened that didn't. This one just makes sense. Now, he's got to do his job, and his job is to hit and get on base. It puts pressure on Tatis and Manny and Crony, and those guys, they've got to drive him in. I mean, but it's such a good fit here.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, on a team, let's say, where they didn't have as much power in the lineup, as much pop, then you might look at it and say, well, how much better does this really make you from a run-producing standpoint? But the Padres have that. And if the guys do what they're supposed to do, the guys in the middle of that lineup, no doubt having Arráez in front with the bat-to-ball skills he has, the ability to get on base, it lengthens the lineup, and he should, hypothetically, be on base a ton for those guys behind him. So I'm with you. I think the offensive fit, and also, look, they needed a DH. Once Manny is pretty much playing third base every day, and this, I think on a lot of days is going to take care of that. So I think it's a really, really great fit. And one more point on Arráez, and you alluded to it earlier, I heard from a lot of Marlins people I know that this guy is top of the line as far as a human.
Same.
Like the best teammate, great. I mean, unbelievably great stuff. And I'm not just saying that. That's what I heard, and it sounds like you heard the same thing.
I got it from the horse's mouth, my friend. Yes.
Hey, yes. From a clubhouse
very
perspective,
handsome horse.
Very handsome horse. A thoroughbred, if you will. Yeah.
I think he's going to be a great fit.
Standard mule.
Yeah, great fit.
So, Sammy, before you go, our tier ones are amazing. I'm looking in the chat. I know Jesse does the Incorporator on Tuesdays. We've never asked you to do an Incorporator during a pre or post game show, but they want to hear Jake Sconenworth and Jurek Scone Profar somehow in the broadcast tonight.
Okay,
Jake Sconenworth.
I think Sconenworth works a little bit better. So
I like Jurek Scone Profar.
Of course you do, because it's the least funny of the two options. Jake Scodenworth is fantastic.
Sammy, hopefully the Padres are going to face some tough pitchers in this series against the Cubs, and then the Dodgers coming to town. It'll be a big weekend up in the loft in the Western Metal Supply Company. Big week for Sammy. We'll talk to you a little bit later and hear from you in a few hours.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
There
buddy.
is Sam Levitt, our EcoWater SoCal Padres pre- and post-game show host, coming up this afternoon at 3:40 p.m. We have a lot of headlines from the weekend that Paulie could get to in the Reindl Report. I don't know if he's going to talk NBA playoffs, Kentucky Derby. We had local action, Seals. We had Wave. We had Mojo. We had Legion.
My Dallas Stars winning a Game 7
we had 2 Game 7s
yesterday.
in the NHL playoffs. And we also had something go on in the world of a rap that I think that Paulie's going to fill us in on as well. And
the world of rap.
I also want to get more into the Joe Musgrove injury.
Yeah, kind of been ignoring it.
Do you believe the always positive Mike Schultz when he says no big deal, it's precautionary? Would you ever believe him?
How could you possibly?
Would he ever say anything negative?
How could you possibly?
His arm could be gone. I have no idea. We'll get to all of it in our final hour next. Yes, I am concerned about Joe Musgrove. And that's not just the general Padres fan feeling of dread that we all always get when anybody heads to the injured list. I'm more concerned for Joe than I even was for you, Darvish. Welcome back. Final hour of Ben and Woods coming up. I will say that Mike Shildt has not lied to us.
True.
Yet. But you can't be relentingly positive without eventually stretching the truth a little bit.
I wouldn't say lie, but the throwing up and in will be addressed when
they classified Joe's trip to the injured list as precautionary. Not a huge deal. Could have probably gone if we needed him. We're just nipping this in the bud and making sure everything is good. If he hadn't already been struggling, though, off and on for the first month of the season, maybe I would buy that pretty easily, going, yeah, okay, something popped up, feels not great, let's just give it a couple of weeks, he'll be fine. The fact that he was injured at the end of last season, then came in and started struggling this year, and you used the words elbow inflammation. We also heard triceps tendonitis, but we heard elbow inflammation. That is way more concerning than neck strain, which
Correct.
was what you Darvish's trip to the injured list. Neck strains are incredibly painful and annoying, but for a pitcher, that's just get some rest. It'll be fine. Elbow inflammation is always the first, or almost always the first red flag on the way to. I don't even want to say.
No, don't say it.
But you know what? We're all thinking.
I don't know. I mean, I think.
How can you not with the rash of those of injuries going around pitching in Major League Baseball right now?
Who's the kid? Nick Pivetta had the same thing. He's coming back this week. Looked really good for the Red Sox. Guys' elbows do get inflamed. They do. And they are able to come back and pitch. It's not now. Again, I think the tone would be a little. I say this, and I don't want to jinx this. I'm like knocking on everything around me. I don't want to jinx it, but again, I really don't have any control over Joe Musgrove's medicals. Just remember that. I just get the sense that because Joe talked about it too. Again, they don't think it's that serious right now. So I'm going to choose to believe them that it's not that serious right now.
You'd expect to hear a little more like, we're just not sure. We're waiting on some testing. We want him to get a couple of second opinions.
Correct.
Then you'd be a little more concerned.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm not sure is that unrelenting optimism of Mike Shildt may be somewhat softening the picture here a little bit. I don't know if that's true or not.
And listen, there's a lot of folks in this fan base that have given up on Joe Musgrove, and he had a really nice start last week when I was at Disneyland, and he had a really, really nice start. Look vintage. And I think that's the bummer is finally starts to put something together. Now the elbow's inflamed, and that's when you don't want to go like 2 steps back, right? Because you've just traded for Arráez. You're probably going to need another arm at some point. You got to make sure you have the prospect capital to do it. I think they still do. But yeah, this is when it gets a little dicey.
If you didn't hear it, here's what Mike Shildt said after yesterday's game about Musgrove and the IL stint.
Yeah, timeline TBD. We think it's very similar to Darvish's situation where it's not a scheduled breather, but a chance to get a breather. Through a bullpen. Could have gotten through it, could have answered the bell on Tuesday. Just felt like there's some inflammation in there that's not quite, where we wanted to be. And just a good chance for him to get a little bit of a reset and a little bit of a blow. So don't feel like it's anything overly serious, but there is some inflammation in there that we want to get out and make sure that he's feeling good consistently.
So Margie in the chat says Musgrove will need TJ. It's been apparent since spring training. So did you miss the start last week where he was again,
velocity was up last week.
Yeah,
things were good.
If you've needed TJ since before opening day, I doubt very much, you're going to be able to go out and pitch with that elbow. Throwing 95 miles an hour and sliders and everything else. So again, I have no choice but to choose to believe what Mike Shildt says and what Joe says. So yeah, I hopefully it's nothing serious. Listen, you need a stable of guys down there that can get outs. And it's a really good time for guys like Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito and potentially Adrian Morejon to step up and Be big leaguers and get outs and let your offense do some work for you. Let your defense make some plays for you because, this is how a good team is built, man, and they got to prove something.
The peripherals on Randy Vasquez have been outstanding. The stuff plus, the movement. Has he translated that into a lot of big league success yet? No. Is the potential there? Yeah, I hope so. And hopefully he takes this opportunity and runs with it. We have enough material. We could probably do a double Reindl report today. So I'll just let Paulie steer us for the next few minutes
and get things started here with our today's edition of the Reindl Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Reindl Report with Paul Reindl.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Reindl Report.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
On 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a oh yeah? Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, indeed.
Good morning, my friends.
Morning.
It's the Reindl Report, and it's brought to you by the Frozen Ropes Summer Baseball League. The Frozen Ropes is now registering ball players ages 6 through 12. Go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com for more information.
Yeah. Manny hit a frozen rope on Friday. Oh, wow.
You like frozen ropes?
I love frozen ropes.
All right, we will start off. We'll start off on the local news here. We mentioned it very early in the show. Wanted to give Woodsy a little more chance to expand on the end of the San Diego Seals season. So Friday night they played here in San Diego, took the L, and that put them in a best-of-3 series up against the ropes. Yesterday had to travel to Albany, and they fell 13-10. Season over for
Lost
the San Diego Seals.
14-12 Friday night. It was horrible. It was
a comeback, right?
Yeah, a huge comeback in the 4th. We were 1 goal away, and they just sort of horrific. We had guys in the penalty box that had not been in the penalty box all year, and they called every ticky-tack penalty. They were trying to call major penalties that weren't majors. They had to review them. It was a really horribly run and officiated game. That being said, we didn't get the job done, and I'm really bummed about it, but it was fun. I mean, I think we only lost a couple times at home all year, which is what you dream of, and just got to retool. And that's what they'll do, and they made the playoffs every single year they've been here. So I'm super happy with the direction of the team. I hope to be invited back to do PA next year. I love it. My kid Bo is so into lacrosse now, and going to Seals camp in a couple weeks. It's certainly a part of the fabric of our lives. And the people that showed up at Pechanga all year were nuts. It was a crazy environment, and it's really grown, and I love those guys. I love them. I really do. They're just the most hardworking athletes I know.
Well, that's a very Mike Schilt-esque take on another disappointing playoff exit for the Seals, who probably have more talent than any other team in the NLL and have yet to turn it into a title.
I mean, every guy you mention, you're like, oh, he's like the best in the league at his job. Hey, this guy, future Hall of Fame. This guy, the best guy in the league.
We have the best face-off guy in the world. Albany has the second best. And they were locked. And so it basically went 50-50. So it didn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Each other out.
Kind of cancel each other out. It was gnarly, though. I mean, it was... They're the biggest...
Is anyone on the hot seat? Are you on the hot seat?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. I mean, where else you can find somebody to come down and do what I do? You know what I mean? As
maybe you need to do less.
No, I will not. I need to do more. Okay. I take responsibility for Friday
maybe
night.
You are on the hot seat then. If you're taking responsibility.
That's fine.
Someone needs to take the fall.
Nobody's taking any
blame
falls.
guy.
We're just going to retool. We'll get better.
All right, fair enough.
Need to get a little faster. Get a little bigger. We'll be all right.
I have some experience in goal now.
You do.
And I'm pretty big.
You do.
Even after the weight loss.
That's true.
Just let me know if they need me.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
Oh, so sad.
Don't hold your breath, though.
I'm so sad.
All right. In the NBA playoffs continuing, we saw the Cavaliers take down the Magic yesterday to win their first-round series in the Eastern Conference. Donovan Mitchell put the team on his back again. 39 points. Tonight, we've got a doubleheader on TNT. It's going to start with the Knicks hosting the Pacers, game 1 of the Eastern Conference semifinals matchup there. And then game 2 in the Western Conference semifinals, the Nuggets hosting the Timberwolves. And Minnesota actually came into Denver on Saturday night, I believe, and kind of pushed Denver around, had their way. And so they have the 1-0 series lead. Denver looking to even the series up tonight. They tip off at 7 o'clock.
Game what?
Game two in that one.
There
Game
are,
1 in the Knicks.
There
Pacers.
are so many good players in the NBA now. Donovan Mitchell, you mentioned, he had 39 after 50 in a Game 6 loss. But Paolo Banchero, the Magic, they're a young and upcoming team. They're out now, but they're going to be a team to watch in the future. It just turns teams like, yeah, Anthony Davis and LeBron are great. Kawhi was hurt. They got eliminated over the weekend. Other teams now have superstars. Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic is still a very young player.
Luka Doncic?
Luka Doncic is still a very young player for the Mavs as they go on. Every team seems to have superstars now. Jalen Brunson. I mean, there are so many great players now in the NBA. This may be the best the NBA has ever been at this moment. So many good teams.
I'm out of your mind. It's better than it's ever been.
It could be
almost unwatchable.
Almost. No, wrong.
It's almost
wrong.
unwatchable. It is almost. I put on some of the pages.
People were comparing Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan this week. And when Michael Jordan played, there were so many bad teams. You forget how many forgettable,
there's so
terrible
many bad teams now,
No,
too.
They're not.
Yes,
there's more good teams than ever in the NBA. There's more good. There's 10 good teams in the Western Conference this year.
I tried so hard to watch it. It's unwatchable to me. Jack 3, run down the court. Jack 3, run down the court. Jack 3.
You're just not watching the right. I
guess not, because there's guys. How far is the 3-point line?
23 feet.
Yeah, I'm watching guys jack 30-footers and bricking them, and then running half. I watched 5 minutes of the Pacers game the other night. I was like, this is unwatchable for me. That's just my opinion. I know people love the NBA. I wish I did. I cannot watch it anymore. And now, listen, with the playoffs being here, getting a little bit more serious. See the defense step up a little bit in the bigger series. Maybe it'll be a little bit better.
It's better in the playoffs, yes. Yeah. They joke about it with their commercials, like playoff, and they're going, it's not a thing. It's totally a thing. Playoff basketball is just better.
I had fun watching. I watched a little bit of the Nuggets and Timberwolves game on Saturday. I mean, seeing big guys like Rudy Gobert and Jokic were just going at it in the paint. That was fun to watch. Jokic, he's a freak.
He's a beast.
He is a freak. The way that he shouldn't be as limber and as good as he is, because he just kind of moves around slow, but he's got some art to it. It's fun to watch. But all right, finally, Ben, you had some questions about.
I googled this yesterday. Yes, I actually tried to. I googled it just to see Wikipedia what it had to say about this.
Well, you tell me what's going on between Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
I still don't understand. I certainly they're coming back and forth with diss tracks, which are basically songs that they write that criticize the other, specifically. And there's some gnarly accusations. Like Kendrick has accused Drake of being a pedophile twice in 2 different songs. I don't know how they write them this fast. If they had already been prepared to drop,
they were already prepared,
dropping them back and forth. I don't know if this is a bit that they're doing, just to drum up some attention, or if this is legitimate beef between the two.
I'll try to give you the best.
And no one can even explain why it even started for the most part. That they were on good terms, and someone made a joke and took it the wrong way, and then this has devolved into a decade of hatred. I just don't understand.
I'll try to give you the best too long didn't read version to my capabilities here. Drake has been around for a while and has always been criticized and as kind of thought of as a bit of a phony. I mean, he's a upper middle class kid from Toronto who got his start as an actor on Degrassi, and then he's rapping about how hard his lifestyle is, and people are like, really?
A little bit of a poser, right?
Okay, Kendrick Lamar, for example, grew up in the streets of Compton.
Right.
He feels a little bit differently. He's looking at Drake's success and going, really? So they've been going at it for, like you said, Ben, over 10 years. And recently, Drake kind of threw some shots at Kendrick. J. Cole released a new album about a month ago and had a diss track for Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Kind of siding with Drake there.
Then he rescinded it the next day.
2 days later, he was at a festival in Charlotte, and he goes, you know what? I want that album or that song taken off the album.
Took it off the record. It was a great song.
Now, I think he might have gotten wind of some of the ammunition that Kendrick Lamar had, and he goes, you know what? I don't want any part of this. And just in the last 4 or 5 days, Drake had a song that came out, his diss track, and then Kendrick came back with not one, not two, but 3 diss tracks in a 48-hour span. Somebody texted me, oh, another one came out. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard it this morning. No. Another one came out. And like you said, the accusations are gnarly.
I feel, so here's what I know nothing about any of this, but it seems as though Kendrick told Drake, hey, if you don't start anything, we'll let it go. But if you do anything, I've got everything standing by. And when Drake released his, Kendrick just opened the vault and go, okay,
boom, boom, boom,
here it
boom,
all
boom.
is.
Yeah.
You asked for it,
Kendrick
and I
had
am
a
now
line,
laying it out for everybody.
Quit telling lies about me, and I won't tell truths about you. And some of the truths are...
It feels like anybody who's
crazy.
anybody's on Kendrick's side.
Yes.
Does Drake have anybody left on his side?
He's got people allegedly in his own crew, his own team that are
doesn't
leaking.
count.
He's got a mole, giving Kendrick Lamar all this information.
It's bad for Drake.
There was one line. I mean, I don't know if I should play it or not.
Probably not.
Probably
if
not.
If you had to guess.
Yeah, probably not. That's good. I'll play it for you guys after the break.
It's and
Drake responded. The most recent is Drake responded with a song last night.
He did.
Musicians, of course, can do diss tracks. What do we have, though? Could we do a diss show?
A diss podcast. I've done plenty of those.
Diss podcast.
Some girl tweeted, Marcelo Arguello said, another track? This is exhausting. No wonder they used to actually just kill each other.
Yes.
They did. That's when it was serious.
I wouldn't rule that out anymore, but yeah, if this was 1996, somebody would be dead by now.
Yeah, it sucks. That's not what you want. And so it's all, it's all fun and games until that happens. I loved Hit 'Em Up from Tupac. I thought it was I've never heard anything like this in my life, ever. I'd never heard anything like that. And then, he died, and Biggie died, and it was terrible. So I don't want any of these guys to die. I don't think, and you don't want to keep pushing the envelope.
Well, I don't want to die, so let's just be nice to
let's
everyone
be nice.
all the time.
No enemies.
That's usually my philosophy. Be nice. Don't start anything. That's our Reindl Report. Good job, Paulie.
Hey, thanks.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. We'll come back, check traffic. When we return, the Cubs series, the Dodgers coming to town this weekend. Very big week for your San Diego Padres. We'll take a little look ahead next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. for 97.3 The Fan's commercial-free Padres Roundtable featuring Ben and Woods, Annie and Elston, and Gwen and Chris, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. For takeout or delivery, go to San Diego Roundtable or go to roundtablepizza.com. Roundtable, the last honest pizza. We continued our conversation about the NBA a little bit during the break, and Paulie mentioned how the Golden State Warriors, with their three-point shooting prowess, undoubtedly, you said broke the game, but they certainly changed the equation. It was really one of the most obvious strategic developments in sports in the last half century. 3 points are worth 50% more than 2 points. So you don't have to make nearly as many three-pointers to be successful and make it worthwhile to shoot threes. So teams started shooting a heck of a lot more three-pointers. And as that happened, guess what? More kids, as they were coming up, started practicing longer and longer threes to get good at it. And you have more players, copying the Steph Curry model. The ultimate success story in all of it, though, is not in the men's game. It's in the women's game. It's Caitlin Clark, who has absolutely continued to just turn that entire sport on its ear. She had her first WNBA preseason game over the weekend. Preseason WNBA game on the road. And they sold out the entire arena in the Dallas area for that game.
Did Doug Gottlieb ever fix her shot? Or
I don't think so, but she had 21 in her NBA I don't even know how many minutes she played. 21 points.
Probably would have had 40 if she had let Doug get his hands in the dough there and start working on that shot.
But Caitlin Clark is a product of what the Golden State Warriors kind of did and changed in basketball. The longer and better you are at shooting, the more valuable of a player you have become. So we see a lot of that, but I find it very entertaining to watch Steph, to watch her, to see guys be able to throw the ball in a basket from 30 feet away from the basket will never cease to impress me.
I don't have a rooting interest, and that is really what murders me, I think, with the whole thing. I really don't. I don't have a rooting interest, and I don't, as far as college basketball, I watch more Aztecs basketball games than anything. So, like, if Jaden Ledee got drafted by the Knicks, I might be a Knicks fan. You know what I mean?
Just looking unlikely after he wasn't even invited to the draft combine.
So I think that's a big part of it for me, too. I know I sound like an old head when I say this. I know there's talent. I know they're the most talented they've ever been. I feel the same way about baseball. I yell at the old heads in baseball that are like, let's bunt and let's do this. I'm like, no, we don't do that anymore, right? Baseball has kind of come back the last couple of years to being a more palatable view, a more palatable watch. And I do think those new rules have helped tremendously. I don't even care about joining super teams, and I don't care about any of that. That's not what it is for me. I got spoiled. Living in Chicago during Jordan's run. I got spoiled. That's exactly what happened. And
as great as that team was, and that was a super team.
Those teams, not that team.
Those teams,
those six.
Generally the same players. They had a couple of
franchise.
That franchise.
People who came in and
the
out.
rest of the NBA was not.
But that
as good
was
as
a
it is
super
now.
team back then with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And
Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant.
But they were a super team. Who did they beat during those runs?
Reggie Miller and the Pacers. I mean, that's the thing is, and see,
Reggie Miller, a great shooter, but those Pacers teams were not great.
They were.
And the Utah Jazz teams they would beat in the finals, not great.
Oh my God. How do you say that? Karl Malone and John Stockton together, and I mean, it was crazy. Like, it was crazy. And there was gnarly defense, like. That, to me, was the golden era because I was in it. I was just in it. If it was here and it was the San Diego Monarchs, I'd be all on board. I'd be all about it. But I don't have a rooting interest at all. And I know I sound like an old head when I say that. But you doing the bit of, Jordan played against plumbers is ridiculous. Ridiculous. Stockton and those guys were nasty. They were nasty. He'd get throat punched on a drive to the hoop. I mean, it was gnarly. Like the Pistons.
The Jazz wouldn't win a playoff series in today's NBA.
That's fine. Babe Ruth couldn't hit Tyler Glass.
I think the Showtime Lakers would struggle against the kind of teams of today.
They probably would. They probably would.
Basketball is better today. Players are better today.
No. Players are better today.
Athletic.
The product that I watch is not the same for me. That's just what I'm saying.
Honestly, I disagree. The officiating changes, which stop allowing the hand checks on defense to allow offensive players to do their thing. Same thing with the NFL, where they stopped letting defensive backs, chuck as much and hit the guys. It allows the skill players, the quarterbacks, the receivers, the shooters, the drivers to do their impressive things that really excite the fans and I think make the product better. Football is better, basketball is better, and now finally baseball is becoming better because of the pitch clock and the changes they are making. Baseball resisted the longest to actually improve their product with different rules or the enforcement of the rules that they already had. They're just following the lead of sports like basketball and football, who have already done the things to try to elevate their product to make it the best product possible. The NFL never stops. You're going to see the kickoffs changing next year. They're just trying to make everything more entertaining and exciting, and they continue to tinker with it until they, hopefully get it right someday.
It's like if you told for me watching the NBA now, it's like if you told pitchers you can only throw fastballs, right? Like just throw heaters. And let's see what these guys can do. That's what it's like to me.
I disagree. Like Ricardo in the chat said, players are not better. They're more athletic, but not better.
They're so good.
Soft as hell now. I can barely watch anymore. You make it seem as though basketball is supposed to be a sport of physicality. The rules state you can't touch anybody in basketball. It's right there in the rules. Every single play from those Knicks teams and those 80s and 90s defensive teams, they're all illegal. They just weren't called back then.
They weren't called, and I liked that.
Totally illegal.
Now you want to make that argument for football, like they might as well just play flag football. Yeah, there's a bit of an argument to that because the hits are.
And you can't hit the quarterback at all.
You can't touch the quarterback. That has changed. That has absolutely changed.
And again, I will change my perspective, almost guaranteed. If we get a team here, it's a guaranteed 180. Guaranteed. I have no
It's
rooting
because
interest.
you'll follow it closer. You'll appreciate it more as you watch it more. I guarantee you would, and it's fine. You don't have to. We're not relying on you. I mean, we barely talk any basketball, which is understandable. We got a baseball team. We're going to talk more baseball when we come back, but I just wanted to finish off that discussion because we are passionate about it. And we're kind of dug in on our sides on that one, and we're probably not going to see eye to eye, at least for the time being.
Somebody wants to know who would win one-on-one pickup, me v. you.
That would be fun to watch.
I got that all day. It's not even close.
Probably Woods.
Not probably.
When was the last time you played any basketball?
Yesterday.
Oh, really?
Bo plays every day. I shoot and play with him every day. Now, he's 6, and I dominate him. But you got some size.
Who would win,
play any
you
basketball
two versus
growing up?
me?
Me and I played in the YMCA league.
You did, okay.
Yeah, I won most improved player, which means biggest turd.
Yeah, so I run
Best
most
team
improved
spirit.
7th grade basketball. Yeah, middle school. Most improved.
Me and Ben against Paul.
Ooh, yeah, Paulie's definitely way better, but 2-on-1.
2-on-1 is tough.
Hard to do. You can only guard one of them.
That's right. I like this.
We can make that happen.
My knees hurt already.
We'll come back. Look ahead.
I would like to take Ben 1-on-1 though.
Back to baseball
and play basketball.
And our Padres week ahead when we return with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. This hour on Ben and Woods brought to you by the Craft Taco in Sorrento Valley. Craft Taco has some of the best quality tacos in all of San Diego. Go to thecrafttaco.com. Take a look at their happy hour specials today. Thecrafttaco.com. I received a lot of tweets and comments over the weekend about run differential, but I stayed silent through the entire weekend.
Good for you.
I'm not going down that road again. Much. Explain when we come back after traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, after that rough ride on westbound 52 out of Santee this morning, must we really have this solo spin out now? Just past the 805, it's facing the wrong way over to the right shoulder. Also traveling on the westbound 8 near Los Coches. There is a collision. Looks like some guardrail damage there at the center divide. And our Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows a crash on the coastline southbound 5 past the Aliso Creek Rest area. Appears to be in the clearing stage. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
They're wearing you out for last year's bid.
I think people misunderstand that I'm rooting for run differential. I could care less what the team's run differential is.
Couldn't you?
I want them to win games. Last year,
You really liked the run.
last year I thought the run differential was going to show you that this is a better team and they are eventually going to find their level, as most teams do. And they were going to eventually, be several games above 500 to make the playoffs.
You're such a math guy.
Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean that's not true.
But you're such a math guy, and you're so smart. That's why I wanted to hit you over the head with a frying pan last year, because you would come in and argue, but they're plus 20. I'm like, they scored 14 runs in one game. Then they scored 9. The win is worth the same amount if you win by 1 or if you win by 30.
You are correct.
You only get credit for one win.
But ultimately,
me over to Ben.
What's the best way to evaluate an offense in baseball?
Wins and losses. Honestly, that's what I've come up with.
But no, just offense.
Last year broke me
just
too.
Offense. Of all the stats, you got batting average,
right?
OBP, slugging percentage,
scored,
OPS,
run scored.
I know. Isn't that the most important stat you can put up as an offense? It doesn't matter how you get them. You just need to get them, because the more runs you score, the more likely you are to win a game. Similarly, for a pitching staff, the most important stat is runs allowed.
Yeah.
It's not ERA. Unearned runs count against you just as much.
Correct.
So as a team, you're trying to prevent as many runs as possible while scoring as many runs as possible.
But if you're sitting at 500 and you've got a plus 42 run differential, are you a good team or a bad team? You're a 500 team. That's what you are. You're a little bit of both, because you have to take into account the feast or famine, which you weren't last year.
And we are a little bit going down that road again. Because once again, now, now after the addition of Luis Arráez, obviously the Padres had a good weekend. They have scored the second most runs in baseball this year. 187 runs. Yeah. That is second only to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who have scored 197 runs. The offense has been good. And the pitching, while it hasn't been nearly as good, they're more toward the middle to bottom half of baseball, and 176 runs allowed. Their run differential of plus 11 tells you they should be a couple of games above 500, not a game below 500
Correct.
At this point.
Yeah,
but
that's how you feel.
Here we are again, and they are once again not quite performing up to the level of what their offense and defense/pitching say they should be performing up to. Last year, we kind of blamed Bob Melvin as the manager. They're not winning one-run games. This year, they're not nearly as bad as they were. I think, their one-run game record this year is, at this point, it's been a while, 3-4 in one-run games and 1-0 in extra inning games. Not like last year when they were just abysmally bad in those games. They've been okay in the close games. They've had a couple of games where they've blown people out. They haven't gotten blown out a lot. I think yesterday, was that the worst loss they've suffered all year? I think it was. By 7 runs. It was probably the biggest margin of defeat that they've had all season long. They don't get blown out much. They do occasionally erupt on the other teams, and they've done okay in close games. To me, that tells you they should be a winning team. Somehow they're not still.
Now, the crazy thing is, you look at Oakland, right? So Oakland is sitting with a minus 23 run differential, Benny, and they are 17-18. Which is insane. We're 18-19. You basically have the exact same winning percentage as the Oakland Athletics right now. Again, we're going to go down that road of I don't know what to make of this team.
I mean, the Twins with a essentially the same run differential as the Padres, they're plus 13. They're 5 games above 500.
Correct.
There's definitely ways to maximize your runs scored and your runs given up, and the Padres have not done that very well the last season plus.
Correct, and I just think it's such a tired thing, but just consistency. It's just consistency.
I think that is important. I mean,
it is.
The Padres have won, so they've played 12 series now this year.
Yeah.
After winning 2 out of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks, they've won 5 series, they've lost 4 series, and they've split 3 series. So they have a winning series record. Mike Schilt told us last week, it doesn't matter, winning streaks don't matter. You just win series.
Yeah.
And if you win more series than you lose, you're going to have a winning record. Well, here we are. The Padres have won more series than they've lost.
That's correct.
And they still have a losing record.
Yeah.
Because one of the series they lost, of course, they got swept. And they have not swept any of the series that they have won. They won 4 in a row, but it came winning the last 2 of one series and the first 2 of the next series. You do eventually have to put together the consistency where you sweep teams, where you make those big jumps, where you pick up 3 games to 500 in one series as opposed to 1.
Correct.
Winning 1 at a time. You have to win a lot of series in a row when you take 2 out of 3.
One win.
If you sweep a 3-gamer or just 1 4-gamer, boom, you shoot right up.
You're off and running.
They have not done that at all the last season and this month of this season.
Yeah.
They're just not making those big leaps that other teams make. The Twins just made when they won 12 in a row.
And it's funny, too, because I think the mentality, and we have the mentality, we preach the mentality, too, so yesterday, perfect example. Waldron goes out and gives up 4. Mike Schilt says, what did they score? What did they answer back with? 2?
3.
And then 3. They answer back with 3. So in your mind, don't you have to say, this is winnable? The guys came to play, and they answered back.
I thought at the moment when they came back 4-3, I go, oh, they're going to come back and win this one.
But again, we don't take into account gnarly series against the Cubs, gnarlier series against the Dodgers. Joe on the IL today, Vasquez being called up. Don't know what I'm going to get from him. Those are all the things that you have to factor in. If it's one game, Matt Waldron's out in the first.
No, it's a playoff game.
He's out in the first.
Yeah. You're not risking it.
No.
You're going for the win. Everything you can.
Everything.
And tomorrow you'll worry about tomorrow.
But
you can't just worry about tomorrow. You can't worry about today only over 162 game season.
You can't. They'll be done. You'll be done for. You will be done for. So I know it's frustrating.
But what Mike Schilt has professed from the very moment he got the job is that consistency.
Correct.
It's like, never give up an at-bat. Never give up a game. Always grinding to the end every single time.
It's different for it's different for a player and it's different for a manager. So a player, I read that quote of the most important pitch for a pitcher is the next one. And the most important swing for a hitter is the next one. That's it. And if that's the mentality your players have, great. Manager is not afforded that luxury. It's not. He's not afforded the luxury of saying the most important inning is this one. Because you can't have that. Like, you cannot do that. You can't say, hey, man, we need 9 outs here to sweep the series. Bobby fastballs, come on in. Give me 9
Every
today.
game can't be
Every
game
game,
7.
it cannot be a game 7 for a manager. Now, a player, sure. Like, every AB counts. Every pitch counts. Execute every single time, and you're going to have good results.
One skill that the Padres have not had is just good timing when it comes to
timing has
things.
been horrific.
It's funny because I see in the chat, Craig Elston has been pretty high on Matt Waldron just as a 5th starter. You don't need a miracle out of your 5th starter. Keep him in a few games, give yourself a chance to win. If the Padres had better timing and they had scored a few runs in the games that Matt Waldron pitched well, he'd be around 500. You'd feel fine. But because the Padres have had bad timing, and when Waldron has pitched well, the offense has done nothing. When Waldron has not pitched as well, they scored a few runs. 4 yesterday. Doesn't matter. Doesn't help you. Now the Padres are 1-7 in Matt Waldron starts?
Yeah.
That's bad timing. There's
bad
plenty of other
timing.
5th starters with an ERA around 5 who have won 3 or 4 games because their teams have better timing. The Padres are like that couple that always thought they might get together, but she was with someone and then he was with someone, and the timing just never seems to work out for the San Diego Padres. They need better timing on when they score and how they score and how they support their pitchers.
You saw it on Twitter on Saturday night after the offensive explosion was save some. Now you're not going to do that. You're not going to save some. No hitter's going to be like,
you can't bank
I'm going
it.
to trade in a couple of these knocks for a couple of more. No. If they, by the way, If they could, they would.
Oh,
they absolutely would. If they, guarantee, Crony, tomorrow you're going to get 2 opportunities to drive in runs. You're going to be successful on both. You got to sacrifice this single up 12-1 in the 8th. Done every time. But it doesn't work that way. So the timing does suck. The consistency has not been there. All of these things are correct. Run differential. I've never said it doesn't matter. It does. But you just have to take into account those stupid blowout games, wins, losses, whatever. You have to factor that in.
Hate to do it, but put some pressure on you, Darvish, today. You got to get some innings out of him after Waldron didn't give you much yesterday. Get you off to a good start in the series as he goes up against Justin Steele, ostensibly the ace of the Cubs staff, although they seem to have multiple aces right now. 4:40 first pitch, and Steele is a lefty, which wouldn't be surprised if we saw Donovan Solano's Padres debut in the game today. Solano got called up before the game yesterday, and Eggy Rosario was sent back down to AAA El Paso. Did not get into the game, but I think they wanted him with the team so he could get on the plane with them to Chicago. Imanaga is also a lefty who's scheduled to go tomorrow. He's got a 0.78 ERA, so there's going to at least be the opportunity as a DH, or you may see him inserted in as an infielder at some point. Would not be surprised to see Donovan Solano. He had been hitting, from what we heard, pretty decently. Donnie Barrels, they call him, does seem to barrel the ball up well. We'll see if he can add to a Padres offense, which I said already has scored the second most runs in baseball. And now Arráez, Solano, just gives them a couple of more veteran contributors to the point where you might even say, good offense right now in Major League Baseball. This is a good offense on this team. Can they get the pitching to match it? That seems to be the question now going forward. Padres will have probably Randy Vasquez tomorrow, and then it'll be Dylan Cease against Hayden Westnecki on Wednesday, and he's got a 0.54 ERA. So if you add up the ERAs of all the pitchers in this series, right around 3 total. That's a tough trio that you got to face at Wrigley Field this week. And then you get home and you got the Dodgers for 3 when you come back home on Friday. Tough week.
So this is Steele's first start back since he got a hamstring injury on opening day. Their offense is good. Are they hurt? Are they banged up?
Bellinger's been out. And Suzuki's been out, I think, too.
I just saw a note that they're running bases right now. I don't know what that means for this series. Hopefully both of those guys are out for this entire series.
Go ahead. Give it a couple more days just to be safe, right?
And you still have your work cut out for you because they still have guys that can put the ball in play. So, yeah, man, look, these games feel huge right now. They feel huge in May because, well, let's be honest, they are. These games are huge right now for the San Diego Padres to decide what kind of team they're going to be. And again, I will say it again, and I believe it. 3-3 this week would be outstanding. Outstanding against the Cubs and the Dodgers.
Yeah, looking at lineup speculation. Honestly, Mike Schilt has so many options now with where he can put guys in the infield and who he uses as the DH. I'd hate to speculate, but yeah, I'd imagine that you'll see the same top with Arráez, Tatis, Cronenworth, Manny, Profar, and then probably Xander, and then some combination of Merrill, Solano, and Kim in the bottom 3 of the order would be my guess. And who's the DH, who's playing in the field, I don't know. It'll probably be who's feeling it, who needs a day, who likes to get off their feet. But that'll be for the manager to decide. And we should know here probably during the Annie and Elston show, they'll get a lineup for the game. They'll be able to bring that to you around lunchtime today for the 4:40 start.
Can't wait, man. I can't. Every game just feels so huge right now. And getting Arráez in, can't wait to see what he does off of Steele. Be nice to welcome Steele back with a nice sharp single through the 5-5 hole, and let's get this thing going.
I have a lot of confidence that he can get that done.
So do I. It feels good. Let it feel good for a while.
Good start to the week. Great job by the Tier 1s. Great job by our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Reindl. Really good Reindl Report today. That's it for us. We'll be back at 6 a.m. tomorrow for 4 more hours. For Stephen Woods, I'm Ben Higgins. Have a great rest of your Monday from all of us at San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.